Last night here at Camden Yards for the Orioles and their fans, a heartbreaking loss. A great comeback. 8 unanswered runs to tie it up. Trumbo got the long ball that did that. But the Cubs would get one more homer, and that would end the game. The Orioles, a 1-run loss in game number 1. So when you lose one like that, you get back on the road, you go as fast as you can, and you get right back to the ballpark to play game 2. It's the Orioles on Masson and here in Birdland on an absolutely beautiful summer evening here at Camden Yards. Game 2, the Chicago Cubs and the Orioles. Orioles with that big comeback and then the 1 run that cost them a game. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and welcome. For the Orioles last night, it was indeed a great comeback. The Orioles had an opportunity to put away a ball game in which they had been down 8-0, but not quite. And part of that goes to the Chicago defense as well as it was played. Part of it goes to the Orioles, who had opportunities. They only ended up going 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and the Orioles stranded 10 in the ballgame. But the plays late in the game that mattered, how about these? Orioles had a scoring opportunity. 6th inning. Jones could have been the leadoff man on. This looks like an infield hit, but a great play by Contreras, the catcher, would get him at first base. Then Jonathan Scope with a runner on. Baez able to get the bag at second for the force out. And then in the 9th inning, leading it off again. Wellington Castillo puts one down the line. Hayward disappears into the dark in the corner and comes out with the baseball in his glove. Big plays. Had they not been made, the Orioles would have had opportunities to have a couple of innings.
Yeah, you're right, though. Exciting ball game, and the Orioles did have plenty of opportunities. But, boy, the young defense for the Cubs stepped up big time. And those are some athletic plays right there that a lot of teams can't make, and they kind of minimize the damage. You know, the Orioles fought their way back very well, but it's always hard to come back from the big deficit that they were faced with. You know, 4 home runs early on in the ball game can really take the wind out of the sails. It's nice to see the character of the team really fighting back, and ultimately it came down to just the one pitch, the one mistake by Brad Brock and that solo home run to do it for the Cubs. But the Orioles are going to have to match them, I think, in every aspect of the game, and defensively especially. They cannot give the Cubs extra opportunities. They're hoping that Miley's going to pound the zone and put the ball in play, and they have to make the plays behind him tonight.
Way has said repeatedly this season, games that he's been good in, games he has not been good in, that my problem is getting that ball in the strike zone. Said to me on one of those occasions, look, I'm trying to throw strikes and I can't get it there. When a pitcher says that, you've got some real problems going. So Wade wants to overcome that tonight. He's got to locate. He's throwing way too many pitches. That doesn't allow him to get deep into a ball game, and it takes the count to 3-2 and deep a lot.
Yeah, you know, something's got to give here. I mean, the Orioles cannot do this continually, night in and night out. They have to make some moves, and somebody's got to start stepping up. So they lean on these veteran guys. Miley's got to be one of those guys that really turns the corner the second half. Started off the season very well, had a nice first couple months, was getting deep into the ball games. Second half, June and July, really struggled getting deep into games, started hurting himself, giving up a lot of hits. So he's got to be aggressive. His key, I think, is show that he can command the baseball, throw early strikes, and that'll get the opposing team a little more swing happy. Start getting more aggressive, and that's when he can expose the other team's offense.
And no matter how good you are as a veteran, even a Cy Young Award winner, when he comes back to the ballpark where he started his major league career, there are a few butterflies, and Jake Arrieta is that pitcher tonight. You got to believe the Orioles will want to try and get to him real early. You want to anyway, but because Jake may be a little bit on the butterfly side of it, trying to get it settled back in here in a ballpark that he's so familiar with. He's had great years. Cy Young Award winner a couple of years ago. This season has been more of a struggle, but still a dominating pitcher.
Oh, yeah, he's very dominating, and he's been kind of hit or miss, I think, on the year. And I think a result of maybe the extra innings he's had to throw the last couple of seasons. Of course, World Series champ last year, the Cy Young the year before. So the Orioles, yeah, they've got to get him early. That's been one of his bugaboos this season, getting out of that first inning. And the Orioles have to make some early marks.
All right, we'll see what happens here tonight. Big crowd will be on hand here at Camden Yards. A lot of Cub fans have joined the Oriole fans to watch game number 2. Orioles baseball on Masson, brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By John Hopkins Orthopedics, serving the community for over 125 years. And by Royal Farms. Pick up your ROFO rewards card today at any Royal Farms to save on gas and start earning points for free stuff. What a beautiful evening here at Camden Yards. Take a look. BGE Home, Baltimore's home team, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Why would you call anyone else? 87 degrees with that humidity compared to last night when it was 90, down to 41. Partly cloudy skies, but not many clouds left. A lot of blue sky. Here's the starting lineup for the Chicago Cubs tonight. Changed with the lefty on the mound from last night. Jay didn't play last night. Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras, Happ, Russell, Hayward, Baez. Almora did not play last night. Addison Russell now 14 multi-hit games, double and a game-winning homer last night.
Yeah, let's take a look at Wade Miley's scouting report. Camden and Cubs should be a good combination for Miley. 4-1 with a 3.46 in 6 career starts versus the Cubs. And how about a 3.60 here at Camden Yards this year for an earned run average of 610 on the road. He needs to throw early strikes to have success tonight. 51 walks this season, second in the American League. He's got to get the Cubs into swing mode, and length is needed for sure. Hasn't completed 6 innings since back on June 1st.
John Jay will lead it off, and the pitch will be taken for a strike, and we are underway.
Take a look at the rest of the numbers here for Miley. 4 wins, 4.97 earned run average. Opponent's hitting 291, but the lefty's just 184.
That'll be up the middle, handled on a hop by Wade. Miley with a couple of pitches records the first out on John Jay, and there's one away.
Let's get that big first out. Take a look at the rest of the defense behind Miley. Mancini, Jones, and Smith will roam the outfield. Tejada and Scope up the middle. Machado and Davis once again on the corners, and Caleb Joseph getting the catching duties tonight.
That'll bring up Chris Bryant. For Bryant, opened up with an 0 for last night with the 0 for 5, down to 265 for his average. But on the Cubs, he leads the team. Runs scored, on base percentage, walks, and stolen bases. And he's got another base hit. Into left field, Mancini over to get it. Well, the Cubs have clearly taken a look at one number that stands out for Wade Miley, and that is he throws a lot of first pitch strikes. So if you come to the plate ready to hit, you've got a very good chance of getting something to go after.
That's fine, as long as it's a quality strike. He's been very good this season at pounding the bottom of the strike zone. Of course, he plays that hard slider and the changeup off that pitch. But if he can get those early swings on some quality pitches down, there might be some early soft contact outs.
Here is Rizzo. The infield shifts over, not completely, but playing him to pull. He has gone 2 for 12 lifetime against Miley. Rizzo will take a breaking ball, and it is going to be there for a strike. 1 for 4 in the ball game last night. Rizzo's had a few at bats against the Orioles. He is 4 for 15 lifetime against the O's. Cubs with a victory, 44th win. They're trying to get to 500 tonight. They are 44 and 45. Miley's delivery to him away. Cubs trail Milwaukee by 5.5. The Orioles with a loss last night go to 42 and 47. They are 8.5 games out, and they are tied now for the final spot in the American League East. 8.5 behind. Joe Maddon's ball club, of course, the defending champions. And Buck Showalter's club needing the big run in order to make it a run for postseason, probably on a wild card spot. Pitch taken inside, and the count goes to 2-1 on Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a big run for sure, and it's got to start with the starting pitchers. I mean, that has been the problem most of the year. Of course, the offense has had its inconsistencies as well, but pitching will take you to the promised land.
And that's close, and on the outside corner, it's there. We are seeing Sam Holbrook already true to form. He's not a distinct pitcher's umpire, but historically the close calls to the crew chief for this crew will go to the pitcher. So you're going to try and take advantage of that if you're Miley or Arrieta, to go inside outside and catch those corner strikes. Got that one too far in the middle, but it's going to be an atom ball. Jones has got it. Rizzo is retired.
I don't mind seeing that. Take a look at Miley here. The start of the season, April, May, 302 earned run average. But see how it jumps in June and July, 797. How about the whip in April and May? 151 jumps up to 211. The problem is the early exits. Of course, April and May he was dealing. He had 4 starts of 7 innings or more. In June and July, just 1 start. A lot of early exits. And of course, on this little roll right now where he hasn't completed 6 innings since back in June 1st.
Two down, runner on at first base, and the pitch will be outside. Contreras, their young catcher. Big night last night. The 1 for 4 included the home run and the 3 RBIs, as it was Contreras and Schwarber, who is not in the lineup tonight, hitting the back-to-back home runs in the first inning off Gosman. Tapper back to the mound. Miley will make the flip, and there's a good solid inning. An inning in which Wade has given up 13 runs this season. He gets out of it quickly tonight. Eight and 8 against the National League in the interleague games played so far this year. Orioles lineup brought to you by Southwest. Yes, the low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Jones, Machado, and Scope. Davis, Trumbo, and Mancini. Smith did not play last night. Neither did Caleb Joseph. Tejada batting ninth. Mark Trumbo in a big 9-game hit streak and with power.
Yeah, let's take a look at Jake Arrieta's scouting report. He's had some mixed results this year. Yeah, he has turned into a beast since going over to the Cubs. Cy Young Award winner, World Series champ. But this season, hey, could be the amount of innings he's thrown here the last couple of years. Some inconsistencies, and the homers part of the inconsistent results from Arrieta. Yeah, this season up quite a bit. 14 home runs already given up. Last year had 16 the whole season. Slow to home, though. The Orioles, if they can get on base, there are stolen base opportunities against Jake Arrieta. He does not want to break his rhythm on the mound, so still the high leg kicks. Either earned around average up over 4 at 4.35. Opponents hitting 248 off Arrieta, and there are the 14 long balls. The Orioles looking to take him deep a couple times today.
And another pitcher. Jake has struggled in the first inning. Jake has given up 15 first inning runs this year in the 18 starts that he's made. Adam Jones was in the leadoff spot last night at an 0 for 4. He is back there tonight. We talked about butterflies in the open with Arrieta. I don't know if the warm-ups tell you anything, but Jake Arrieta was throwing about 5 balls to the backstop while warming up with Schwarber, who came out to catch him. That ball is chopped to short, way back. Addison Russell the throw, and Jones retired on a couple of pitches.
Let's take a look at the Cubs defense behind Arrieta tonight. Hap, Alomar, Jr., Hayward will roam the outfield here at Camden. Russell and Baez will be turning 2 up the middle. Brandon Rizzo once again on the corners, and Contreras back behind the plate.
Hayward with a spectacular catch in right field on Wellington Teskia to start the 9th inning. Went into the darkness of the corner down there in right field and hauled it in. It was a big play opening up the 9th inning as Wellington bid for an extra base hit. It was a foul ball, but it got him out of there and took that leadoff man in the final inning away. Here's Manny Machado. Manny's got a 7-game hit streak coming in. 2 for 4 added to that in the ball game last night. Arrieta's delivery is at the knees for a strike. Well, Machado, he had picked it up before the All-Star break, and looks as though it has stayed with him. He's thinking about bunting for a base hit at Chris Bryant way back at third base, and the count goes to 0-2.
Yeah, good opportunity there, obviously, to get on base. Maybe Manny's thinking about that stolen base opportunity there. Of course, Manny's swinging the bat well. You see the 7-game hit streak, 419, a couple home runs. A little bit more patient here.
Speed delivery is going to be taken outside from Arrieta. Arrieta now 31 years old, lifetime 82 and 53. He has a 1-0 record against the Orioles, but that was in Chicago. First time he's pitched here at Camden Yards as an opposing pitcher to the O's. And he jumps on one and fouls it back at a 1-ball 2-strike count.
I'll take a look at Arrieta's career numbers and the development actually that he's had over the last few seasons with the Cubs. Of course, with the Orioles at 5.46 earned run average, just could never really find the feel on the Camden bump. He gets sent over to the Cubs and just turned into a superstar. 2.78 earned run average.
1-2 delivery is going to go all the way to the backstop. That one was bounced out in front of home plate. And the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes on Manning. Quite the deal. Pedro Strop went along with the deal from Baltimore to the Cubs, and both of those pitchers have really helped Chicago.
Both have World Series rings on their fingers.
Yep.
The Orioles, of course, getting Feldman back, who did a nice job with the O's, but certainly not the lasting efforts that these two guys, Arrieta and Strop, have made.
Steve Clevenger was also in that deal, the catcher who stayed with the Orioles, but no question the end result was that the Cubs got the better part of it. But in trades, in all cases, you can never be quite sure. Would Jake have been the 82-game winner in his career that he is now had he stayed in Baltimore? Who knows?
Well, I know that this for a fact. It is a mental game, and if you're not feeling well with your starting pitcher, if you don't have the faith and the confidence of people behind you, it's going to be a struggle the whole way. And I just don't think Jake ever had the confidence of some people that were around him. Might have been the big league pitching coach at the time, but they, you know, as soon as he went to the Cubs, he asked if he could kind of go back to what he did in college.
Yep.
They let him do it,
yep,
and he took off. So it was just his own mental kind of holding him back. I think that ability there when he got sent over to the Cubs freed him up.
And he grew a beard. Yeah. The pitch is swung on down the line in right field, and that'll be out of play. I know that sounds crazy, but I honestly believe, and I don't say whether you should have a rule about facial hair, I don't care, but some guys, it gives them a feeling that they're themselves. They feel better about themselves. They've done something independently they wanted to do. It does matter in some cases to guys in their performance. Something as crazy as having a beard. That ball is bounced, and that's what he was doing when he was warming up. A lot of those pitches just hitting the dirt out in front, and he surrenders his 36th walk in 101 innings.
Yeah, he's had some inconsistencies this season, and we talk about that cross-body delivery that Jake Arrieta has. That's the one thing that the Orioles, I think, were fighting him on, just to keep the arm strength and avoid injury. They wanted to be more straight to home. He has that cross-body delivery that obviously has led to a lot of success for him, just that mental belief. But there you see, and we talked about the inconsistencies this season. You know, sometimes it's just losing the feel.
Yep. So Jonathan Scope will stand in. Manny Machado will get as big a lead as he can against Arrieta because, as Mike said, they run wild on him. 15 out of 17 in stolen bases for opponents against Jake Arrieta. Now Manny has not done a lot of running in the last couple of years, but he is 4 for 5 in stolen bases this year. Contreras behind the plate throws out 31% of base stealers, and that pitch is a strike. That's where he went the first time but missed it, and the count goes to 1-1.
Yeah, so Arrieta's got the 4-seam fastball. He's got a little 2-seam fastball. Both fastballs down in the low to mid 90s. He'll play a little 2-seam changeup off that 2-seam fastball as well. There's the big curveball and cutter combination.
Gets him back in on his belly on the throw a little bit wide to the field side by Arrieta. With the ball game last night for Jonathan going 2 for 5, he's got a 3-game hit streak going. He's 4 for 14 with a homer during the current streak. Manny leaning, fakes the go. Ground ball to third is going to be foul. So the Orioles, as Mike said, when they get on base, even if they don't run, they're going to try and get in Arrieta and Contreras' head that they might run and try and make him think about it.
Well, see what's happening right now. I think they're thinking that Manny might be taking off. Jonathan Scope's gotten 3 fastballs in a row. You know, so if you're a hitter and you sense that maybe the base runner's going, and especially a pitcher that's slow to the plate, catcher's going to put down fastballs, you know, to give himself a shot.
1 ball, 2 strike count. Manny not going. Breaking ball will be taken outside. Looks like a slider. And the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes from Arrieta. Even though Arrieta's given up a lot of runs in the first inning, batting average against him in the first is only .228. First time through the lineup. .272 the second time through against Arrieta this year. 2 ball 2 strike delivery on the way, and Jonathan will foul that one back.
Good pass there by Jonathan Schoop. 194-mile-an-hour fastball. You never really give up on the heater. That's obviously Jake Arrieta's favorite pitch, even with the 2 strikes. A lot of times when Arrieta has problems and there's runners in scoring position, you see more spin balls, more off-speed pitches.
Our StatCast powered by AWS with the lead at first for Machado. 2-2 delivery. Jonathan, a base hit into left field. He got one up to drive that time. Manny will make a big turn, force the throw by Happ. Ball will get away. Pitcher comes over to cover. Manny had already stopped appropriately at second base. So the Orioles 2 on and only 1 out.
A nice swing by Jonathan Schoop. I saw a handful of fastballs right there with Manny Machado at first base. It will turn on one, smokes it through that 5-6 hole.
So here's the scoring chance, and as we talked about in the open, this is where the Orioles struggled last night. Just a 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Chris Davis returning to the lineup last night with a 1 for 5. He's hit well against Jake Arrieta. 3 for 5 off Arrieta. Shift is on, double play depth. Goes the other way and foul.
Jonathan Schoop, even with 2 strikes, able to smoke the baseball. Found another barrel. 108 miles an hour off the bat of Jonathan Schoop. Pretty hard to defend coming off that hot.
There you see the defensive alignment. Baez, the second baseman, shallow right field, but still close enough to try and at least get a forced play at second base. 0-1 the count. Runners get their leads. Davis will take it inside. Here's a steal, and they got him. He is out. Manny Machado going into third, took off. Orioles are going to look at the video. The call was out on the tag made by Bryant.
Yeah, pretty impressive tag. Manny doesn't think he got him there. That's why he came up saying safe.
He got that front leg in. The question was the tag appeared to be on the back foot at some point.
Yeah, tough to tell right there.
Why are you running there?
I'm not sure, and if you are, why wouldn't it be a double steal? But you don't want to. I think taking off on his own there, feeling like he was going to be able to get a pretty good jump.
Not going to challenge it. I mean, you're trying to score runs early and get a lead. You got first and second and 1 down and Davis up. I'm really not sure going to third base is going to make a heck of a lot of difference.
Yeah, I got to believe that one was on his own, because if it was put on, I would think that Jonathan Schoop would be running behind it.
Yep. So 2 down now with a runner at first base, and Davis will swing through it. And the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Great to have Chris back in the lineup, of course, for the Orioles. Trey Mancini moved into left field last night. That's where he is tonight after taking over the duties while Chris was out at first base. 1-2 delivery on the way. A big breaking ball at just 80 miles an hour that sliced inside 2-2. What was that?
A big breaking ball?
Yeah. I mean, that curve ball or slurve ball?
Yeah, he's got a curve. A big curve, actually. Yeah, he's not afraid to mix it up. He'll throw all 4 at any time, but likes to move his fastball in and out.
D can back up in the infield now. 2-2 delivery on the way to Chris. That'll be outside. So Arrieta throwing a lot of pitches here in the first inning, as the Orioles at bats have led pitchers to do throughout the year. And a 3-ball 2-strike count.
Now struggling right now. High pitch count. 50% ball strike ratio.
Left-handers hitting at .253. Right-handers .244. He's given up 8 of the 14 home runs to lefties this year. Runner goes 3-2 and he walks him. So the Orioles have picked up a single and 2 walks, but there are 2 down. Runners on at first and second base.
Now some good ABs here in this first inning. Showing some patience. A couple of walks. Obviously Manny and Chris Davis. Jonathan Schoop. Nice 2-strike hitting.
Well, there's Mike Trumbo, who tied the ball game up with a 2-run homer in the ball game last night. Big shot came in the 8th inning. He's got 15 on the year now. And Mark continues to raise his numbers with runners in scoring position. He's now up to 291. 2 down here, and he fouls off the off-speed pitch.
Good pass right there. How about Mark Trumbo? 14 multi-RBI games. Of course, the team high. Up RBI going the other way in last night's ball game, and then of course the big blast to tie it up. Mark Trumbo doing some damage.
Trumbo trying to do some damage here with 2 away. 0-1 the count. Good leads, Scope, Davis, and the pitch is going to miss outside for a ball. Trumbo has become one of the best at picking up late game RBIs, either to tie or win ball games, and that's clutch hitting in tough situations. Trumbo has done that all year long, and that has been a very real consistency. 1-1, and that one laid on, fouled it off the facade down the first base side. Mark has the most go-ahead RBIs in late innings in the American League. That's from the 7th inning on. Those, as all baseball fans know, are hard to get. You're up against bullpen guys you may see only once. But Mark has led the league in that department, getting those late inning go-ahead RBIs.
Yeah, that's the toughest. You know, I mean, the back ends of bullpens are just unbelievable nowadays. You're not only facing best arm in the closer, but the setup man, the 7th inning guy, usually some top arms.
1 ball, 2 strike count for Marietta. Trumbo will take it on the outside corner. Perfectly located, at least from Arietta's perspective. So the Orioles are retired. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 are left on base. Wade Miley back to work when we come back. Kids are going to get to run the bases, presented by Wise Markets. Fans 4 to 14 get to run Oriole Park bases just like their favorite birds. For tickets, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. Always a great treat for the kids. A lot of thunderstorm clouds went by throughout the day. The night has turned out to be just spectacular. Little breeze blowing out towards left field, but very little breeze here at the ballpark tonight. Wade Miley back to work. He'll go against the rookie Happ. And Happ take the pitch outside. Happ ended up with a 1 for 3 in the ball game last night. He is 4th right now among rookies in the National League in home runs with 13. And the pitch is away to him. And he'll go ahead on the count 2-0. Now the Orioles' modest 2-game win streak ended last night against the Cubs. That's going to catch the outside corner for a strike. These Cubs have the best winning percentage against left-handed starters of any team in the majors. They are 14-6 against left-handed pitchers who start games against them. That's going to miss down low. On the other side of it, Wade Miley is 4-1 against them with an ERA of 3.46. 3-1 pitch on the way, and again got it in there at 91.
Good pitch right there. Back into the count. I think there's a lot to be said about having success against one team. Your confidence definitely up.
That one down the line in right field. That'll be handled by Seth Smith, and 1 out.
How about that? 3-2 count, no foul balls. And you get the out.
Cheer, standing cheer.
Yeah.
We'll show you why regarding Wade Miley in 3-2 counts. In fact, the Orioles, we've talked about it for so long, decided we ought to go back and justify the words. So we did. And here's Addison Russell. Russell, the game winner in the ball game last night, and will take the pitch for a strike. A 1-out homer came in the top of the 9th inning. Batting in the number 9 spot. The big blow. Timeout was asked for as he was going into the windup. That will happen. Brad Brock, the unfortunate other end of that home run. Set up away. 0-1 delivery is there. Powered down the line and right, headed into foul territory in the seats.
A couple good breaking balls right there. Wade Miley doesn't typically get into attack mode with the slow hook. Typically likes to steal that first pitch strike with it, but back-to-back hooks to take advantage of this count.
You'll see Cub hitters standing out if the umpire will let them, because Wade works so quickly that hitters sometimes almost think they're getting quick pitched to. So you see what Russell is doing right here, stepping out at least with 1 foot. Miley with a 1-2 delivery, and that'll be taken down low. Caleb points the glove at him, says exactly, that's where we wanted it. 2-2.
Absolutely. It's a changeup, and it was on the plate, obviously down, but the ability to make those secondary pitches, keep them on the plate.
Another one that's going to be low, and the count will go to 3-2. So a 3-ball 2-strike count on Russell with Hayward waiting on deck. Straight up D against the shortstop. And that'll go towards the middle. Tejada gets in front, squares himself, and makes a good throw. Well, here's what we were talking about, and this is current with a couple of 3-2 counts in the ball games tonight.
Now less is more. Most batters faced on 3-2 counts. The Orioles leading the way with 578. You see at the bottom there, Wade Miley 99, the most on the Orioles. So Orioles no stranger to the full counts, but unfortunately it just jacks up the pitch count and has led to too many early exits for this rotation for the Orioles this season.
Wade is 3 pitches above his career average for pitches per innings this year. He's at 19.6 this season, and his career average is 16.4. Fouled away by Hayward. He had a 2 for 4, one of the 5 home runs hit by the Cubs in the ball game last night. Hayward is just 1 for 10 lifetime off Miley. 0-1 delivery. 2 for 11. 2-out single.
Good swing right there on a down fastball. Wade Miley, a lot of success off the lefties this season. But Hayward getting a grooved fastball there, just dropping the head on it. A clean base hit.
That'll bring Baez up to the plate with 2 down. Baez, their second baseman, an 0 for in the ball game last night. And he is 0 for 3 off Miley. But good numbers against left-handers this year. Baez, in fact, is one of the better Cub numbers against lefties, hitting .291 at home, and against left-handers at .266. He has been one of the many Cubs who's put up pretty good numbers at home, struggle more on the road. Bouncer and a good stop made by Caleb Joseph.
That sure was. Getting to his knees, keeping it right in front of him. A perfect opportunity to just kill it, and he did.
Miley doesn't take long to get the sign. Hayward just a step off first base. 1-0 pitch on the way, taken again. That'll be outside, 2-0. Walks have really hurt Wade. 5.18 walks per 9 innings this year. Way up. 2-0 delivery on the way, and that's outside. Wade's career average is a little under 3 walks per 9 innings, so he's doubled that number this year from his career average, and that creates all kinds of problems, as fans know, with the walks and the extra pitches. 3-0, and he was lashing right to Adam. He will put it away, and Baez retired. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. No score here at Camden Yards. Waters from Queen Anne, 500 for being selected, 500 more for every Orioles home run hit tonight. Play Home Run Rich's scratch offs went up to 50,000. Or enter non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/home run. Benzema, good luck. Last night was the Cubs who put not all of them, but 5 home runs up to the Orioles 2. See what happens tonight. Here's Trey Mancini. Trey extended his hit streak to 8 games in the ball game last night, as he ended up with a 1-for-4 in the opener against the Cubs. Ground ball, that one he got jammed on. That'll go to Bryant.
Well, Jake Arrieta's got some deception with that cross-body delivery, and right there Mancini got exposed to it. Just the fastball boring in on the hands. Never able to get the bat head out to it. Jam shot there. Easy ground ball to third base.
Arrieta gets the first out. They'll put the shift on against Seth Smith. Seth has seen the Cubs more than anyone else in the Orioles lineup. .253 lifetime hitter against Chicago. He's had 3 career home runs. He's gone 1-for-4 against Jake Arrieta. Seth has been in the leadoff spot for a number of games against lefties, but as was true last night, Buck Showalter deciding Adam Jones last night and again tonight in the leadoff spot with a right-hander out there. So we'll see how long Adam maintains that #1 spot for the Orioles.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to get Adam going a little bit, shake it up. Last year, put him in the leadoff spot, and Adam really took off. So hoping he can do that for a strong second half.
2-0 delivery on the way. That'll be taken inside. I said Seth against lefties, Seth against righties in the leadoff spot. Arrieta, 2-ball, 1-strike count. Infield plays him to pull, the outfield the other way. Almora, the center fielder, moved a few steps over towards left. Big gap in right center. 2-1 delivery, and that's in there. 93 miles an hour. 2-2. Got a couple of pitchers who both work pretty quickly. Arrieta doesn't take long. Get the ball back, get the sign, and go for it. Here's the 2-2, and that's a strike in the inside corner.
Moving the fastball around a little bit. I think Seth Smith looking for something else. Let's take a look at the Mercedes pitch cast here. Working some fastballs at the bottom of the zone, and Smith maybe anticipating an off-speed pitch. With Arrieta ahead, but grooves a fastball. Bottom third, down at the knees.
Though Arrieta gets the out and the strikeout, his second K, 2 down. Here's Caleb Joseph back in behind the plate. A 1-for-2 lifetime against Arrieta. Very solid, 286, 3 homers and 17 RBIs. Exceptional season at the plate so far for Caleb Joseph.
Yeah, he's really locked into his approach at the plate. Very limited body movement, control of the lower half. A lot of times you see hitters get in trouble or have some inconsistencies. Their head just moves too much. Lower half's diving out to get the baseball. Caleb really staying back, seeing the baseball and trusting his hands.
Arrieta with a 1-1 delivery on the way, and that will be taken outside, as has been true for most of the season with the combined catchers. Orioles have put up some very fine offensive numbers when you put the 3 catchers who have been used together. They've been at the top offensively for catchers in the American League. And that one is going to be outside, and the count will go to 3 balls and 1 strike on Caleb Joseph. More than happy to take a walk here. Combined, the Orioles are hitting .274 from the catcher's position, second in the American League. 3-1 delivery on the way, and chops one that was up, and a 3-ball 2-strike count.
Arrieta got away with one right there. Elevated fastball. Caleb saw it like a beach ball coming in.
Caleb making Arrieta wait a little bit. Full count, and that's going to be outside. Well, there's the 3rd walk surrendered already by Jake Arrieta. This one with 2 down. Hey, we're kicking off the second half of the season with a giveaway. You want to win a meet and greet with Buck Showalter? Check out Masson Orioles on Facebook for your chance to win. That's facebook.com/Masson Orioles to enter to win a meet and greet with the O's skipper. Ruben Tejada batting 9th at short. 1 for 9 against Arrieta. And the breaking ball there for a strike. Rizzo with Joseph on, a non-base stealer, is moving off the bag with Joseph for the lead. I don't see this happen a lot. Even with a right-handed hitter up, they don't want to give him that big hole between first and second. So Rizzo moves off the bag. As the lead goes, he goes. And a ground ball that's going to go to short, force at second base. Russell goes to Baez. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left on to complete in a scoreless game 2 of the 3-game set. All on Masson, brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Down on the multi and wonderful food courts here at Camden Yards. The folks on a Saturday night, scoreless ball game, go to the top of the 3rd inning. Wade Miley with no walks, no strikeouts, put the D to work behind him so far. He'll face Almora, the number 9 hitter, then Jay and Bryant. Wade coming in with that 3.60 at home we talked about. Double that on the road for him this year. And here's Almora. Albert Almora Jr. did not play in the game last night. He got in 47 games with the Cubs last year. Ball in the air to center field, hit well. Adam Jones is going back and looking, and goodbye, home run. Almora delivers the long ball. And the last 2 number 9 hitters that come to the plate against the Orioles have both hit home runs.
Wow. Pretty impressive swing right there. And not the best first pitch for Miley. He's been pretty consistent down at the bottom of the zone, starting hitters off with fastballs down low, but look at this one, elevated up and out over. And he stays tall on this and gets through the baseball. Well struck.
4th home run of the year for Almora, who got the start in center field to play against the lefty. And a swing and a miss by John Jay, who grounded out his first time up. Almora is only 23 years old, 2 stints last year with the Cubs and up this year, and delivers immediately in this game. John Jay will take the pitch outside. Jay's the designated hitter. He's been a primary pinch hitter for the Cubs this season, but with the DH rule in effect here, he gets to play in an extra ball game. He has been a nemesis against the Orioles throughout his career, as he's hit .381 lifetime against the Orioles with a couple of home runs. Not this time. Strikeout number 1 for Miley.
Well, that's some nice work right there from Wade Miley. Nice answer after that home run to get this inning started. Just painting the outside corner with 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Well executed throughout that AB.
14 home runs surrendered by Miley now, and 13 of them hit by right-handers. Here's Bryant, who had a base hit his first time to the plate. 1 down, nobody on. Bryant will take the pitch, and that'll be a strike. The Cubs coming into this ball game, home runs have been a big deal for them. They are 6th in the National League in homers, and they've already got 6 in the first 2 games of this series. Tried for the inside corner and just missed it. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Bryant.
It's all right. Good pitch though. Bottom of the zone. You don't want to make a mistake, and you got to make sure you get that one in there. And that's a good miss for Wade Miley.
1-1 delivery on the way. Watched one down low, didn't get it in there. Bryant 2 hits, 4 at bats. Lifetime off Wade Miley. .273 hitter off lefties, 10 better than against right-handers. Great tailing pitch right there. 2-2.
Beautiful changeup. 3 changeups in this at bat, and all quality down at the bottom of the strike zone. That one the best as it kind of works away from Bryant. How about the location of all 4 of those pitches? Just one of them a fastball. 3 changes.
Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way, and ate him up. Pitch down and in that he could not get the barrel of the bat anywhere close to.
Well, the changeups definitely set up that 94-mile-an-hour heater. Back-to-back, well executed ABs for Wade Miley. Working a couple tough hitters there. John Jay, RJ, great success off Miley. And of course, Bryant, MVP in the National League, pitching him tough right there.
Here is Anthony Rizzo, and the shift put on against him. Rizzo flied out to center field his first time up. Miley's pitch to him will be a little bit low for a ball. Rizzo 286 off the left-handers, about 30 points higher than against right-handers. You can see why the Cubs, did he go? No, have had such success against the lefties. They've got so many other players whose numbers are considerably higher.
Yeah, big numbers.
Even left-handed hitters like Rizzo. 2-0 count. And he'll take the pitch away. So Miley, after a couple of strikeouts, falls behind on Anthony Rizzo, 3-0. Rizzo against left-handers, tied for first in the National League in homers with 8. And that pitch on the inside corner. He's also up there tied for second in RBIs against left-handers with 22. So you're looking at one of the better left-handed hitters against left-handed pitchers. 3-1 delivery. Wade comes back on him. Another full count.
Well, slowed it down just enough there on the breaking ball. Get Rizzo out in front just a little bit. Looks like it's going to be a cookie, but right off the end of the bat, you see as he extends to try to get to that baseball. Slowed it down just enough.
3-2 hack foul down the line. Home run. Almora leading the inning off. Cubs on the board. There's the 2-out, nobody on shifted defense against Rizzo. And he chases one, tag put on. So Miley ends up striking out the side. The only problem being the first guy up, Almora, delivered a homer, and the Cubs lead at 1-0. From the top, 1960s, Brooks Robinson goes 5 for 5, hitting for the cycle, 5-2 win over the White Sox. He ended up with an 8 for 8 because he'd had 3 for 3 prior to that. In 1876, the first major league no-hitters thrown by George Washington Bradley for the St. Louis Brown Stockings against the Hartford Dark Blues. And we found a picture. That is the man right there who threw the first no-hitter major league history. But look at this picture. Look at the uniforms they're wearing. Are they a gymnast team? Are they a high wire act? And then look at the drapery on the left-hand side. Or are they at a Roman bath where the picture was taken?
That's not the Gas House Gang I know.
That is not. That is pumped up down the line. Could fall in. No. Fine catch made by Rizzo with his back to the field, and Adam Jones retired.
Rizzo, of course, fine defender at first base. Makes a good running catch there over the shoulder. And trying to get to that spot. Hits the head down out of the gate. Gets to the spot easy enough to make it look like a routine play.
Nice play. One down. That'll bring Manny Machado up. Manny drew a walk his first time up. Manny with a 7-game hit streak. Arrieta's delivery to him will be on the outside corner for a strike. We're going to go back to that picture because that's too good to pass up. Right. That is just once is not enough. Here's the 0-1 delivery on the way. Manny got it deep to left field, but it's going to stay in the yard. I thought better off the bat than where it ended up. Happ goes over to get it. Boy. 2 down. I mean, This is just a classic picture. Can you imagine being the photographer? You're the one setting up the scene as to how you want them to be seated. You got the guy on the left who's in a beautiful easy chair. The other guy laying on the floor. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. The guy on the right looks like he's sitting on a riser. And then the guys behind in the right back is sitting on one of those wing chairs that you'd find in an old English common house. I mean, that is beautiful. I have to get that one. Blow it up, frame it, put it on the wall. I probably won't be able to get any autographs, but
yeah, that was amazing.
1876. I'll ask Jim if he knew those guys.
Oh my! Oh my!
Here's Jonathan Scope, and the pitch taken outside. That pitcher would go on to have an extensive major league career, and then would become a police officer when he retired from baseball.
Wow.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Scope will ground that one off the end of the bat to third base. Bryant's got it. He'll make the play, and the Orioles are retired in order. 3 up, 3 down against Arrieta. The Cubs with a 1-0 lead. Fourth inning of Orioles baseball is brought to you by the all-wheel drive RAV4 Toyota. What drives you? Visit buyatoyota.com for great deals. Gary Thorne and Mike Bordick, 1-0 lead for the Cubs with the loss last night. The Orioles all-time fall to 3-7 against the Chicago Cubs. They first played in 2003. The Orioles lost 2 out of 3 at home. 2008 they ended up on the road at Wrigley. Orioles went 2-1, and then the last time they met was 2014, and the Cubs swept at Wrigley Field. Those are the only meetings between the two ball clubs. Contreras, the catcher, grounded out first time up, bunting for a base hit, and he got one. What a beautiful bunt.
Rolled just foul though, didn't it? Or no?
I don't think so.
Stayed on there.
Stayed on the grass.
Maybe Manny kicked it foul. Maybe that's what I missed. Look in the side there, and just stays there. Nope, no foul ball. That's what I saw.
Foul ball. Foul ball. That's the good.
Quite a bunt. I mean, perfect location. He showed it the first time, brought Manny in.
And it's not reviewable. No review.
Manny actually had a pretty good jump on that. But
kickballs on excellent bounces are not reviewable. So Contreras now with a leadoff single and almost had him leaning. He didn't have a big lead, but he was on the front leg and had a little problem getting his weight back to go back into the bag.
Now Wade's pretty good at this pickoff move.
Ooh.
Puts it on the money.
And that'll be outside for a ball. This is the rookie Happ, who flied out to right field his first time up. Ian Happ taking a look down at third. Base stealers against Smiley. There aren't many. 2 out of 3 successful, but in a straight running situation, very tough to get a jump. Comes inside with a great breaking ball, 1-1.
There you go. Well, Wade's been mixing it up pretty well here in the early going. We've seen the slow breaking balls, a little firmer slider there, moving that fastball in and out, keeping it down in the zone, which is the most important. One mistake elevated, and they made him pay that solo home run to center.
Pitch will miss, and a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Again, looking to see whether any sign is on here. Remember, National League ball clubs, a lot more the hit and run and hit sacrifices. That one down to third and just missed into foul territory. So Happ back to the plate, 2-2, and Contreras back to the bag.
And the slow breaking ball there to get him out in front, just enough. And of course, he can slow him down again with the breaking ball, but he's been going back and forth a little bit. He might jump up on a fastball here. He's topped out at 94 today.
Jammed him, play for 2. There's one on the money. Relay there in time, double play.
Great pitch, great defense right there. Little comebacker, and Wade Miley executing the fastball to perfection. 94 miles an hour, all in on the knuckles, too close to take. Little jam shot right back to Wade. Get some momentum going towards the target. And you get the ball in Scope's hands, and it's over. Nice double play there.
So Miley helps his cause, and Scope with that big arm, plenty of time to get pretty good runner. 2 down and nobody on. Towering fly ball left field. Another one. Addison Russell. Goodbye home run. What is it with the Cubs guys hitting towards the bottom part of the order? A game winner last night. Gets one here in the 4th, and it's 2-0.
Well, Russell jumped on a fastball from Brad Brock last night. The center cut fastball. This is a changeup, and unfortunately ends up in a bad spot to a righty. And down middle, to fade just a little bit more away. But Russell staying back on it. Gotta give him some credit, able to square that one up.
So 9 home runs for Addison Russell on the year. 2 against Wade Miley by the Cubs in this ball game, upping his number to 15 on the year. And the pitch will be there for a strike to Hayward, who picked up a base hit his first time up. Boy, the Cubs just exploding here at Camden Yards in the first 2 games when it comes to the long ball. Pitch is going to miss, a little bit low.
And most of the home runs, mistakes in the middle of the plate. Not a terrible pitch at all. Bottom of the zone. He just went down and got him some.
And that one is going to miss. So Wade will fall behind. 2 balls and 1 strike on Haywood. And another one that's going to bounce at the plate. And the count drops to 3 balls and 1 strike. And the inside corner strike taken. No argument by Hayward on that one. He just stood in place. And a 3-ball 2-strike count.
Wade Miley feeling confident in that breaking ball. That Rizzo, 3 straight sliders. There's strike 3. See if he triples it up again.
3-2 deliver and walked him. That is the first walk surrendered by Miley in the game. And it comes with 2 down. Don't miss your chance to meet Orioles pitcher Richard Blyer as he signs autographs and meets fans in the Orioles team store at the York Galleria this Tuesday, July 18, 11:30 until 12:30. For details, go to OriolesReach.com. Coming up Tuesday, 11:30 at the team store in the York Galleria. And there he is right there. And what a difference he has made for the Orioles coming out of the bullpen.
He sure has done a nice job.
Baez will take the pitch away. 1-0 count with 2 down.
Yeah, Buck was talking about Blyer last night. A couple solid innings.
Yeah. 1-0 delivery on the way. Close but missed. So he'll fall behind 2-0 on Baez. 0 for 5 in the first 2 games. second baseman against the Orioles. Couple of hits, both home runs, 2 for 16 lifetime, and the pitch away. So Miley all of a sudden strike zone wandering as it goes to 3-0.
Yeah, I think a couple solo home runs on first pitches scare him out of zone a little bit. Be too fine.
You'd think there'd be a take here, and there was. So he's on, 2 on. Talking about Blyer and the work he has done, Buck Showalter did that today, as Blyer did something Buck considers very important this time of the year.
I think a lot of it's got to do with the tone that Richard set when he came in. Worked quite quick, threw the ball to the plate, didn't throw a lot of pitches, got outs, got us back in the dugout, and those things are very important as the summer wears on you. If you don't believe me, ask the center fielder who plays every day, and the third baseman, the shortstop, and people play every day. The ability to throw the ball over the plate, get some contact early in some at bats, and get off the field. Those things are big.
Blyer does it.
Yeah, they were big in last night's ball game. A couple tough innings for Gausman, and then Blyer comes in, and a couple quick innings, 1, 2, 3 innings. Next thing you know, the offense starts picking it up, and boy, did the offense come to life to tie that game up.
8 unanswered runs for the Orioles, only to see 1 home run ended in the 9th inning. 2 on here, 2 down. And Almora, the number 9 hitter, a home run his first time up. That ball up the middle is going to be a base hit. Hayward's going to make the turn. He'll come around to score. The speedy Baez will go into third base. Throw comes to the pitcher and back to first, diving Almora. Well, he was put in there to face the left-hander, and so far he's got 2 RBIs and 2 hits.
Man, I think Wade Miley made a really good pitch here. Kind of fooled him, but he stayed on it and just put the bat head on the ball. Finds a hole up the middle. And of course, a stake on the end, and the pace of the ball allows Baez to walk into third base. Good piece of hit.
And that'll bring Roger McDowell out to the mound to have a talk with Wade Miley, as again the Orioles looking at a scenario of short innings for their starters, which Mike talked about, which Orioles are trying desperately to get away from. And Miley's got to settle it down here in order to keep himself in the ball game. The lineup is now turned over again, as John Jay will be coming up with runners on at first and third.
Here's what you're talking about, Gary, here. Most consecutive starts with the fewer than 6 innings, and the Orioles down at the bottom there running a consecutive string of 8 right now. 53 starts or fewer than 6 innings or more. That's 4th most in Major League Baseball for the Orioles. And right now, Miley on the ropes, and here's another quick exit. Could be unavoidable.
First and third, 2 down, throw over, and the runner will go back. Buck Showalter said before the game today, as far as he's concerned, the entire bullpen is available, except maybe for Blyer. But he said, I think Blyer could even give me a couple of hitters. But everybody else who pitched in relief last night, O'Day, Givens, Britton, Brock, he said they're all available to pitch again since they had the long all-star break before last night.
Yeah, probably better for some of them actually to get some work in again tonight.
Yep.
Right back into the routine. Castro up and walking around.
Swing and a miss. 1 for 1 tonight with runners in scoring position for the Cubs. They went 3 for 6 in the ball game last night. John Jay, he has grounded out, struck out. He is 5 for 9. Lifetime off Wade Miley. Jay with a big uppercut, and the count goes to 1-2.
He is locating some pitches on Jay. He knows about this track record. Good execution there. Everything at the bottom of the zone. Nice velocity on the heater.
Jay, a veteran, 32 years old, played with the St. Louis Cardinals for a number of seasons. 287 major league career average. 1-2, runner goes, going to throw through, delayed steal. They don't throw through, cut off by the pitcher. So a stolen base will be picked up by Almora as the call. That's what the call's made before the pitch by the catcher.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's sent in from John Russell. And here is the play. First and third situation. Caleb Joseph went out and relayed the signs prior. And Wade Miley know that, hey, if he's stealing, I'm going to flip it back to you. And then you're going to look at Baez over at third base. Try to back pick him there.
So now 2 are in scoring position, and all of a sudden this becomes a really important at bat. 2-2 delivery on the way, taken outside, and the count goes to 3-2 with 2 down. Base hit here, can easily score 2. Miley gets out of it, and it remains just the 2 runs in the inning. 5-3-2 counts in the game for Miley, and he got him. Off-speed pitch. Gets his 4th strikeout and retires the side. Couple of runs will score. Russell, the home run RBI by Almora. 3-0 Cubs. NC for the achiever in you.
Now Chance Sisco on the board again here this season. Been a solid one. 275 batting average, 351 on base percentage, 386 slugging. His career in the minors, 316 hitter. Yeah, the kid can hit for sure. Named to the Futures All-Star game back-to-back years. Yeah, he's got talent, and he was challenged this year, getting promoted up to AAA and making the All-Star team again. Doing a fine job.
Chris Davis will stand in and take the pitch away. Arrieta's had 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and has given up in the first inning a base hit. Davis will take the pitch. Single picked up by Jonathan Scope in the first, the only hit the Orioles have so far off Arrieta. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Davis. Arrieta's pitch will miss a little bit inside. Off speed.
Big breaking ball there. Trying to slow Chris Davis down a little bit. Speed him up again with the fastball.
2-1 delivery by the right-hander. Davis puts that to the gap. Right center field. Hayward was over there and will make the running catch. Gold Glove outfielder right where he needed to be. For every Orioles walk, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield contributes $50, supporting the American Diabetes Association. 230 walks, $11,500. Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. Arrieta getting the first out. He's retired only 65% of leadoff batters. Both he and Miley have the same number. Here in this one, though, he's been able to get all 4 leading off an inning. Mike Trumbo, strikeout victim his first time up. Mark with a red hot bat. That hit streak he's got going. A 1 delivery to him, and that's going to be in the outside corner for strike 0-2. A couple of well located pitches right there.
And Arrieta starting to get into a little bit of a groove. Orioles had him on a rope, on the ropes in the first inning, pushing up his pitch count, but the last few innings settling in.
Trumbo 286 his average so far in July with 4 homers. Had to go up on top of that one and fouls it off, and the count will go to 0-2. Miley has been a ground ball pitcher this year, and Arrieta a fly ball pitcher. Not by a lot, but about 55% of the outs recorded in the air. Same number ground ball wise for Wade Miley. Set up away. Here's the 0-2 delivery. Trying to get him to chase on one that's outside.
Now working in and out, changing speeds on the big boppers here in the middle of the Oriole lineup. Arrieta certainly has the ability to use all four and has been.
1-2 delivery in the air to center field. Almora. Couple of fly ball outs. 2 down. Birds are going to host the Rangers and the Astros next week at Oriole Park after the game on Friday. Post-game fireworks presented by Midstate Community Bank. Then on Saturday, all fans 21 and over will get the infielders bottle stopper set. For tickets, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. Here's Trey Mancini, 2 down, nobody on. Mancini grounded out his first time up. Pitch away. Tight game, Boston, New York today. They're in the 12th, tied at 1-1. Red Sox Sale had nursed a 1-0 lead deep into that game. Off the fist, popped up. Arrieta may be the only one to get there. And they both got there, and as a result, nobody caught it. Contreras, the catcher, sliding underneath Jake Arrieta.
Lucky nobody got hurt, especially Arrieta right there as the catcher coming in on the knees. Arrieta saying, well, I've got to take charge of this one, but of course doesn't even call the baseball. Somebody's got to let somebody know who wants to make this out. Boy, avoiding injury.
The battery mates unable to make the play.
Well, there's an opportunity the Orioles should try to take advantage of for sure.
1-1 delivery on the way. That one is going to be down low.
Yeah, don't want to make mistakes to Mancini, or at least lose opportunities to get him out, because he has been hammering balls, especially fastballs. 430, second in the league this year, hitting the fastball. And the reason why, just incredible plate coverage. He covers the outer third, inner third as well as anybody.
Off the end of the glove, and Trey looking like this.
How about an 8-game hit streak? 364, 12 for 33, and using the whole baseball field. That's another thing that helps him get on a fastball. We talk about the coverage of the plate. We're not trying to get into pull mode or anything, just taking what's given and driving the baseball.
3-1 delivery on the way, and that will be foul. Trey has moved back into the top 10 in average in the American League, hitting .311. He still is first runners in scoring position average, .407, and then the number against the right-handers. And second to third, Aaron Judge in about every rookie offensive category. 2 down, nobody on. Arrieta with a 3-2 delivery. Mancini looper to second base. Baez is there. And the Orioles are retired in order for the second consecutive inning. Cubs up.
Game 2 of 3-game set against the Cubs. And how about Almora Jr. in the 3rd inning? First pitch gets it going with a solo shot, but Wade Miley, he settles in. He gets Jay down on a fastball away. How about carving up Bryant? Fastball down and in, and Rizzo, 3 sliders in a row to punch him out. Helps himself defensively as well. The old 1-4-3 double play to get out of a jam, but wouldn't you know it, the hero in last night's ball game, Russell, jumping on a first pitch changeup for a solo shot. Yeah, a couple home runs against Wade Miley. Looking not too bad tonight. The Oriole offense has to wake up. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com to see how much you could save.
Pitch will be taken for a strike by Chris Bryant. Number 2 hitter is a base hit, and he has struck out Bryant Rizzo. And Contreras will be coming up against Wade Miley. Check swing. That one ends up, nope, off the glove. He did not foul it, and neither did he swing, said Nick Lentz, first base umpire. And a 1-ball 1-strike count. Big shift on all the way around in the infield, straight up in the outfield against the Cubs. Bryant, 1-1 delivery, hack foul. How anomalous was the game last night? Well, it's only the 2nd time this year a team has won a game after surrendering a lead of 8 or more runs. The Rockies did that against the Giants on June 15. And there were only 2 such wins in the last 6 years where a team surrendered an 8 or more run lead and came back and won the ball game. And the Cubs have done it only once in the last 87 years. So that's how much of an anomaly the game was last night.
Yeah. Cubs have done a couple things like once in the last 80, 100 years. In the World Series last year. Crazy game last night.
2-2 delivery, went the other way, just went with it. And that's a base hit. Protecting on a 2-2 count. Brian leads off the 5th inning with a single.
Now 2-strike approach right here. Not a bad pitch from Wade Miley at all. Fastball away, even just off that outside corner. And Bryant with the 2 strikes, not willing to take any chances. Just reaches out there, finds the bat, and finds some outfield grass to get this inning going.
Even made him smile. But it's a base hit. Let's get the velocity on that. Here is Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo has flied out and struck out. And the pitch taken for a strike. Rizzo comes in 6th in the National League in walks. On-base percentage guy, hitting in the number 3 spot for the Cubs. Infield is shifted, stays at double play depth. 0-1 pitch on the way, and that will be inside. Count goes to 1-1 from Wade Miley.
There's an opportunity there on that inside corner. Miley got him on 3 sliders. Last at bat to punch him out. I think Rizzo kind of looking on that outer third.
Rizzo ground ball. Scope, chance for 2. There's 1. Manny Machado guns it, and they get it. So there's that double play turn when you've got the shift on, and the Orioles get it done.
Well, you know, Manny likes this one. Nice positioning here with the shift. And Jonathan Scope cutting some distance down, getting a good hop, but taking 3 or 4 steps in to shorten it up. Knows it potentially could be a bang play. See the big hop and Scope taking 3 steps. Manny Machado, nice turn right there, and cuts it loose to Chris Davis. They just need some extra padding after receiving some balls from Machado and Scope.
The 2 good friends work together on that one as a keystone combination, even though one's playing third. And there are 2 down. You can tell, just see, that's how we do it. See, huh? Right there. You put it right in my glove, made it easy for me. Good work. That's good. Great stuff. 1-0 pitch in the air to right field. That one headed into the gap. It's way back there. Takes a bounce off the top of the wall. Contreras on his way to second base. He'll go in sliding with a 2-out double. And he's 2 for 3.
Boy, he smokes that ball. Beating Seth Smith deep, his 16th double of the year. Take a look at the pitch, the fastball on that outer third. He stays on it. Look at the position. Head does not move at all. Great rotation, but staying through the baseball. Getting the bat head to it and then through it. That's that extra kick to beat Smith. Find himself in scoring position.
So the Cubs opportunity to add to it. Ian Happ. Cubs on top, shutting out the Orioles so far with that 3-0 lead. The off-speed delivery will miss. 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position. RBIs have come on a homer by Russell, a homer by Almora. RBI Almora on a single. Now Ian Happ, and the opportunity to bring somebody in. 2 down. Contreras at second. Pretty good lead. Takes off on contact, of course. Pitch will miss. 1-1. Wade Miley, runners in scoring position, a .278 average by opponents. That one bounced. Nice stop made by Joseph.
Oh, I'll say it was. Tough one, too. Spiking the heater out in front of the plate. Like an infielder there, making the pick.
'22-year-old rookie Ian Happ. 2-1 delivery on the way to him, and that one will be fouled off. First chance for the major league team this year for Happ. He split last season between A and AA, where he hit .279 combined. 15 homers, 73 RBIs. First round pick, 9th overall, 2015. 2-2 delivery. That's a good eye.
Good pitch. I don't know if that's a good eye or he just got beat by a fastball from Miley there after slows him down throughout the AB. There's a sneaky heater in there. It was just off the inside corner, but Happ wasn't even thinking about swinging.
3-2 delivery on the way, and he had to fight that one off outside of third. Another full count. So Wade Miley has not been able to avoid these 3-2 counts again here tonight. That's just become a part of his game. This will be pitch number 7 in this, the 6th full count for Miley. 3-2 delivery again and again, fought back.
Good fastball. He is rushing it in there right now. I like the Miley heater, especially on that glove side. Really getting it in on the right-handed hitters.
Happ will ask for the timeout. Miguel Castro, second time up. Happ, 295 off the lefties, 246 off righties for this rookie. 3-2 delivery again.
Happ starting to look in there for that fastball. He does not want to get beat. There's the 3-2 count. Not an open base, though. There's an opportunity for maybe a little change up on the outside corner. Steady diet of pitches on the inner third.
3-2 again, and walked him. So the third walk surrendered here in the inning. There have been a single, double, and a walk, but the double play took a couple out. Roger McDowell, speaking of out, is back on the field. Oriole fans, when the O's score 5 runs or more, get 50% off regular menu price online orders at papajohns.com with the promo code Orioles5. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. Discussion didn't take very long.
Yeah, probably don't throw him a strike first pitch, as Russell has been ambushing.
Addison Russell, the home run in his last at bat, is 9th. 1 for 2 in the ball game. 3 for 6 with 2 home runs in the first 2 games. Down to third and foul. 2 down, 0-1.
Couldn't do a lot with that heater. Definitely couldn't get the arms extended. Good spot for Miley.
Cubs at 3-8-0. The Orioles 0-1-0. They're in the top half of the 5th inning. That one will come inside and miss. Team has gone 9-9 in the 18 starts made by Wade Miley this year, despite the short efforts. That one hit him, bounced, throw to third. Ooh. Manny Machado having to make sure that did not go by, as Caleb Joseph off balance throw.
Yeah, risky play there by Caleb Joseph. Saved on the back end by Manny Machado. Take a look right here, spiking the hard slider down and in. Ball jumps up, and then a nice block by Caleb, and kicks away, but the runners get in motion. Caleb trying to make that athletic play, throw across his body like Manny Machado does at third base. But look at Manny anticipating the tough throw, able to save Caleb Joseph the error and a potential run or two score.
So the intentional pass is then surrendered to Russell. Now the bases are loaded. All 4 walks have come in the last 2 innings. Hayward has singled, drawn a walk, and he has scored. Bases loaded with 2 down. Wade Miley trying to work out of another jam. Left 2 in scoring position in the last half inning. And his first pitch is going to miss away. For Hayward this year, a 1 for 4 with the sacks full. He's got Contreras with a double, Happ and Russell both drawing walks. 1-0 delivery in the air to center field. Adam Jones going back. Adam Jones racing, reaching, can't get it. Hits off the base of the wall. Contreras scores. Happ scores. Russell scores. A triple, clearing the bases. Hayward makes it a 6-0 Cubs lead.
Boy, he jumped on that heater. Buck Showalter up and out of the dugout. Take a look at the pitch. Out over fastball. Hayward clubs this one, beating Adam Jones deep. One hop in the center field wall. And good speed. He's turning and burning around second base. The triple to clear the bases.
3rd triple of the year. 3 RBIs and another outing. Not a good one for Wade Miley.
Birds, 9 hits given up, 6 earned runs, couple home runs in the ball game, 4 walks, 4 punch outs, a mixture of good and bad. Ended up obviously bad with the triple from Hayward. Miguel Castro coming into the ball game. This pitching change brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube stores now do brake services. Stop in and let Jiffy Lube perform a free brake inspection today. While Miguel Castro coming out of the O's bullpen. This will be his 15th appearance, doing a nice job. Buck Showalter basically do a 3.31 earned run average. Big fastball from the side, nice running action, slider to go along with it. Get it up there in the mid-90s. First batter just 100 off Castro. Good number here. Like to get out of this inning and see if the Orioles offense can come back again.
Two down, runner at third base, and a wild cut by Baez, who has drawn a walk and flied out. Buck Showalter stayed away from Miguel Castro in the ball game last night. Buck saying, I knew Miley, the left-hander, would be pitching here. We wanted the right-hander Castro available to come on if needed, and he was needed. Another wild pitch, wild swing, same pitch, and the count goes to 0-2.
Firm slider there, well located on the outside corner. Nice bite at the end to get full advantage of this count.
Hayward down at third base now has picked up 5 RBIs so far in the first 2 games of the series. Pitch away, got a hold of that one that was located about the same place. He didn't start running till late, and it's fouled, and he'll come back. That ball had a little more straightness to it than he thought it was going to, and almost ended up being a fair ball. Seth Smith over.
Yeah, he somehow was able to get the good part of the bat on that one, just reaching out, trying to protect with the 2 strikes, and slapped it down the right field line. He thought it might hook, but squared it up pretty close to being a fair ball.
So the second baseman back in the box looking for his first hit of the 2-game set. Only 24 years old. Outstanding World Championship season last year when he hit .273, 59 RBIs, and he drills that one for a base hit. 2 terrible swings, makes a big turn, and then he ends up picking up a single and an RBI, and the lead is now 7-0.
Well, never getting off the fastball right there. Castro full advantage of the count. A couple sliders on the outside corner that he was flailing at. You see Caleb Joseph calling for the high fastball, but not on the plate, or not, excuse me, in the box, in the strike zone. That one settled down in. Dangerous pitch there with 2 strikes. Caleb wanted up and out of the strike zone.
34 RBIs for Baez. Here's Almora outside. So since there were 2 outs in this inning, the Cubs have had a double, a walk, an intentional pass, a triple, and a single. All of it coming with 2 down. And all the runs are charged to Wade Miley. 7 runs on 9 hits against him. Ground ball to the middle. Tejada's right there. Flip to second to Scope. They get the force out. 8 batters come to the plate for the Cubs in the 5th. They deliver 4 runs and take a 7-0 lead. Is the Orioles with 14 home runs in 2017. There are 6 O's in that category. No other American League team has more than 3 such players, and only Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and Washington have 4 in the National League. That's how much the O's rely on the homers. And for Jonathan Scope, there's his slash line for 2017. The only Orioles second baseman to be in that category of slash line was Roberto Alomar in 1996. Can Jonathan continue that pace? I think yes.
Yeah, I do too. Strong kid. Showing no sign of weakness.
A major league pop-up by Seth Smith. Shortstop, everybody's there actually. And the center fielder Almora moving in. Baez, second baseman, was there, and the catch is made by Addison Russell.
Yeah, they all get the assist there, right? Helping them out a little bit.
So Jake Arrieta, 7-0 lead, throwing a one-hitter. The single by Scope in the first inning.
Yeah, all the runs on the board. You just expect Arrieta to be aggressive in the zone with everything. He's flipping up there.
Pitch will be a strike taken by Caleb Joseph. Caleb has drawn a walk. We're in the 5th inning, and the Orioles just their second time through the lineup. 0-1 pitch on the way. Way outside. Contreras reaching out to get it. If you're a catcher, the way Jake's throwing, you've got to be on the balls of your feet because he has been effective, but all over the place.
Sure has.
1-1 delivery on the way, and that'll be off the fists and back.
Now throwing enough strikes with actually all of his pitches, but at times just kind of cutting it loose, completely losing the feel. Contreras has had to make some good plays back there.
1 ball, 2 strike count. Tejada waiting on deck. Caleb will take the pitch up. And the count will go to 2-2. Orioles' second game of this 10-game homestand tomorrow, the 3rd against the Chicago Cubs. Caleb got a hold of that one to left field. Pretty good wood. It is back at the wall. And goodbye, home run. Caleb Joseph delivers the long ball to put the Orioles on the board, as it is a 7-1 ball game. And for Caleb, that's number 4, RBI number 18. And is that the Wellington Castillo home run to ignite another comeback?
How about that? Back-to-back nights, Oriole catchers solo shots. Last night it was Wellington igniting the Oriole offense. We'll see if Caleb's does the same here. Beautiful swing from Caleb, keeping the hands close to the body. Strong offensive year.
15 home runs surrendered by Jake Arrieta. 7 of them hit by right-handers. Wellington Castillo, he opened up the scoring last night. Leadoff home run in the 3rd inning. Pitch will be way outside.
Take a look at Caleb's home run swing here. Arrieta crossbody 2-seamer, but it leaks back over the middle or the inner 3rd. And look at Caleb. He's pulling the hands across the belt buckle. He's turning the body. You know where the bat hit is.
Towards the hole. Fine stop made. Chris Bryant's throws on the money. Nice play. And Tejada is retired. Join the Oriole Advocates celebrating 25 years at Oriole Park, the 25th anniversary luncheon presented by MeQ, Baltimore's credit union, on Friday, August 18, noon to 2. It'll be at the warehouse. Luncheon celebrates the ballpark that forever changed baseball and honors the returning members of the 92 team. Tickets are $100. For details, 410-247-2703. A lot of the Chicago fans commenting on the warehouse. Even the broadcasters last night, we were talking to them who hadn't been here before, said, wow, you see the warehouse on TV, but until you see it in person, you don't realize how much it adds to the ballpark.
Yeah, and it's so great to hear, you know, the different teams that come in. It's just time and time again compliment this ballpark. I mean, it's such a beautiful setting and just a great old-time baseball feel, you know.
Fouled away by Adam Jones. If you read the stories about the building of Camden Yards, that warehouse was almost gone. I mean, it was on the brink of destruction. They were going to tear it down to make more room here around the area for parking and whatever. And if I remember right, it was the mayor at the time who held on, saying no, shouldn't do that. That warehouse is too important. And has it ever been that important? Pitch is taken up and away by Adam. 1-2. Adam Jones is 0 for 2. He's grounded out, popped out 0 for 6 in the first 2 ball games against the Cubs. Adams just 2 for 26 lifetime against Chicago. 1-2 delivery on the way, and another roller up the middle. Russell's got it, and the out. 1 run on 1 hit, no errors, nobody left on base. The Orioles catcher, Caleb Joseph, with 1 away, delivering his 4th home run, just the Orioles' 2nd hit in their 1st run of the ballgame. Jack, part of the Maryland Food Bank organization, more than 7 years has volunteered coordinating all volunteers. More than 127,000 pounds of food and tutoring and assisting in the Maryland Food Bank program for students. We congratulate and thank Jack O'Hara for all the great work he's done for the Maryland Food Bank. And if you're coming to the ballpark tomorrow, don't forget all weekend collections being taken of non-perishable items and cash donations as part of the drive for the Maryland Food Bank here at Camden Yards.
Yeah, big weekend for that. Congratulations to Jack and the Maryland Food Bank.
Great work. Miguel Castro finishing up the last inning. Begins it here with a pop-up by John Jay. Adam Jones will put it away. 1 down, 6th inning. They're still playing New York Boston. They're in the bottom of the 13th inning. Chris Sale gave up no runs on 3 hits in that ball game in 7 2/3 innings with 13 strikeouts.
Wow.
And ends up non-decision.
Wow. Who's pitching for the Yankees?
Severino gave up a run on 4 hits over 7. And now, of course, the bullpen's active. 1-1, 13th. I was looking at the run support for Sale. It's not as bad as I thought it was. 1-0 pitch on the way. He's had 6 games where they've scored 0, 1, or 2 runs. 4 games where they've scored 3 to 5. But he's had 8 games where they've scored 6 or more. And guess what? In those games, he's 8-0. Here's the delivery. He's 2-0 in ball games where they've gone 3 to 5 runs, and only 1 and 4 where they've gotten 0, 1, or 2. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Chris Bryant, base hit first, base hit in the 5th, 2 for 3. He started to lean in, off balance on it though, and a 2-2 count.
A nice change right there. Got that loose, free arm. At times, as a hitter, you just feel like it's going to be unpredictable. He doesn't know where it's going to go because he can cut a fastball loose in the mid to high 90s as well.
Fair ball. Manny got to make a good throw. Not going to get him. Manny made the play, but Bryant's got some real good speed, and he beats it out.
Yeah, flying down the line right there. Big man knows it's going to be bang bang. He gets about a half-step advantage out of the box, but that play by Manny Machado, pretty special. He had to avoid the base, third base. Oh, I don't know about that foot position there by Chris Davis. What the heck's going on right there?
That's where you get stepped on.
Boy, oh boy. What a play by Machado.
So Chris Bryant is 19th multi-hit game, and this is the 6th game in which he's had 3 hits, despite the best effort by Manny. Here is Rizzo, 1 down, pitch outside. 3 for 4 now for Bryant, and 11 hits for the Cubs. Orioles starter Wade Miley, 7 runs, 9 hits, 4 2/3. Delivery to Rizzo will be taken. That's going to be down low. 6 of the 7 runs the Cubs have put up in this ball game have come with 2 down. So they've done to the Orioles what the Orioles have done so often themselves.
The Orioles been so good at that. 2 out lightning. Cubs just throwing it right back in the face.
2-0 pitch on the way, and that's outside. So a 3-0 count on Rizzo, with Contreras waiting on deck. Arrieta, the benefactor of all the runs. 3-0 delivery. Is he taking? Yes. And it's in there for a strike. Castro, first outing against the Cubs, did not appear in the ball game last night. 3-1 delivery on the way, and that's a high strike that's in there. And the count is full, 3-2. Shift is on against Rizzo, so again with 1 away and a ground ball, you've got that possibility of a Manny Machado coverage at second. Contreras waiting. 3-2 runner goes, and it's whipped into the seats.
Good confidence in that changeup right there, getting Rizzo well out in front. And I think Joe Madden thinking, we're going to put some runners in motion here. You never know against this Oriole offense. That's not what they did last night. No lead is safe.
Rizzo has been outstanding at home. 310, 211 on the road. Runner goes. Ground ball towards Jonathan Scope. Only 1 play. It's got to go to first base. So Bryant, by running, ends up at second with 2 down. Reserve your seats for upcoming promotions, including the infielders bottle stopper set, Jonathan Scope bobblehead presented by Ocean City, Maryland, 25th anniversary Oriole Park replica ballpark, and more. For tickets, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD.
The bottle's not included in that stopper set.
Did you check on that?
Yeah, I did. I read the small print.
I was looking at them myself.
Jonathan Scope getting that little bobblehead action this year after the All-Star game appearance.
Contreras, 2 down, runner at second base, and there for a strike. Catcher's had a double single, and he is grounded out. Scored a run in the 5th inning. A 4-run, 4-hit 5th inning, highlighted by the bases loaded triple by Hayward that cleared him. Ooh-ah. Big cut over the top of it. 0-2.
Dangerous pitch. A slider that kind of stayed in the middle of the plate, but took enough off. I think his fastball is playing up so much that he was kind of gearing up for it. Pulling the string a little bit there.
Here's the 0-2 delivery to him. Contreras reaching down the line, right field. Smith going over, will not have a play. It'll take a bounce off the wall. Going to try for 2. Sestro coming in. Not in time. Stays on the bag. A double. RBI. Bryant scores, and it's 8-1.
Bryant hustling on into second base, getting himself in the scoring position. Helps Contreras pick up that RBI. Elevated pitch here. Fastball 97. But easier to get to when elevated. He just takes the bat head to the baseball, and it jumps off there. Bouncing off the warning track, off the wall for his 2nd double of the night.
So now 7 of the 8 runs have been scored with 2 down. Contreras getting his 32nd RBI. That one in the air to center field. Adam Jones off the bat of Ian Happ, and Adam will handle it for the out. But 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left. Cubs extend their lead to 7. T-Mobile. Take a look. Yankees Red Sox still tied, 14th inning. Matt Holliday had the Yankee tying home run in the top of the 9th inning. Severino, outstanding job as a starter for the Yankees. Tigers lead Toronto 11-1 in the 9th. Castellanos solo homer in the first kicked it off for Detroit. Fulmer's 8 innings, 1 run, 2 hits in that ball game against Toronto. And the Rays and Angels play tonight. The Rays, looking for one of their people, Brad Miller, to help carry them to the promised land, is 5 for 13, 2 doubles, a homer, and 4 RBIs since he came off the DL on July 7th.
Oh yeah, big bat right there. And the Rays all of a sudden in 2nd place in the American League East and playing some pretty darn good baseball.
Red Sox are on top, 3.5 ahead of Tampa, 4.5 ahead of Boston, 8.5 ahead of Toronto and Baltimore. Jake Arrieta gets a nubber right back into the glove. Play will be made to first base, and a pretty easy out recorded. Manny Machado.
Yeah, that first pitch breaking ball. A good finish on the pitch. Gets it off the end of the bat to Manny Machado. Manny probably a little upset swinging at that first pitch breaking ball.
Right now, game being controlled by Arrieta. A little wild in the first 2 innings, but has settled it in. Only 2 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. One down. Jonathan Schoop a single. He got the Orioles' first hit in the first inning with a base hit, and he has since grounded out in the 3rd. Orioles have left only 3 on base, only 1 in scoring position, and that was in the first inning. Schoop will take the slider on the outside corner for a strike. Well, Jake Arrieta owns that 1-0 mark against the Orioles. In that game, he allowed only 1 run on 4 hits in 7 innings. That was in 2014 at Wrigley Field. He's kind of recreating that performance so far in this game. 2-1.
Yeah, sure is. He's throwing everything he's got against the Orioles right now. There's the big breaking ball. Biting back down. Borderline pitch. Almost catching that inside corner on Jonathan Schoop.
2-1 delivery on the way, and another chopper.
I don't know that it makes too many hitters feel very comfortable when he's stepping towards the Cubs dugout. He is a big guy, 6'4", 230, maybe more than that. And he actually looks like he loses sight of the catcher and the hitter when he turns and steps towards the dugout. And next thing you know, here comes the thunder. So tough to pick out. Good deception.
That'll be a foul ball off the end of the bat. That is a pitching motion you would never teach, and some have tried to take it away from Jake Arrieta.
Absolutely. You know, and I think Jake Arrieta is really in tune and understands what his body can and can't do. I mean, this guy is a physical specimen. He works out probably as hard as anybody. He understands how to take care of himself and endure through a long season. But he's mastered this crossbody delivery, which is tough, actually real hard on a throwing arm. It's tough on the shoulder. Take a look here. The high knee kick landing across the body. So he's got to throw. He's really got to reach out over that front leg to pick up that outside corner. Sometimes when he turns, though, he loses complete sight of the hitter and the plate. Well, as a hitter, you're going, oh my gosh, where the heck's this one going?
It's going to go behind me.
Yeah.
Or worse. 3-ball, 2-strike count. 8th pitch of the at bat coming to Jonathan Schoop. Manny trying to find some hits in the bat.
Yeah, took a couple Arrieta breaking balls off the end, maybe checking to see if it busted a little bit.
3-2 delivery, 3rd time in the air. Shallow center. Almora. And there are 2 down. Our Heritage Automotive road ahead. Heritage Automotive offering you 20 convenient locations throughout the Baltimore area. Visit them in store or online at heritagedealers.com.
Concluding this series tomorrow, 1:30 against the Cubs, and then the Rangers come into town. 4-game set. All 7 o'clock starts.
Concluding game tomorrow, Ubaldo Jimenez will go against Jose Quintana as the Orioles will get a look at the acquisition after the All-Star break. a pitcher coming from the other side of Chicago, which doesn't happen very often. Quintana in the trade from the White Sox, which seemingly everybody agrees is probably a good deal for both clubs. White Sox are stocking up on young players, and that's what they got for Quintana. He'll become the third pitcher to make starts for the Cubs and White Sox in the same year. Bob Miller in 1970 and Steve Renko in 1977. Only other pitchers to go from White Sox to Cubs and pitch for both in the same year. That fastball is going to be in there for a strike. 2 down, nobody on. Chris Davis a walk and a fly ball out.
Oriole offense trying to get something going against Arrieta here, or it's too late.
Off-speed delivery. That'll be strikeout number 3. Side is retired in order. That's the third time 6 innings Arrieta's done that. First doing the catching for the Cubs, maybe one of those. A 3.9 WAR through the All-Star break, his second season. The only Cub catcher with more WAR numbers through 2 seasons was Jody Davis. Pretty good catcher. The Dodgers are on pace to be the second team since '70. That happened to be the Dodgers to have 2 pitchers with 15+ wins and a sub .220 ERA. And Paul Goldschmidt, Arizona's second player in MLB history with multiple first halves of 20 home runs, 10 stolen bases, and a 1+ OPS. Who was the other one? Him. We were talking, Mike and I were talking about that. I think he may be one of the most underrated, underappreciated players in Major League Baseball.
It has to be.
He doesn't get much recognition.
I think in large part because the Diamondbacks haven't really played that well. You know, and I think this year probably obviously getting more recognition.
Yep.
His name's popping up a little bit more, but he has been a superstar player, all-star 5 years in a row, I think. And what got me when we were talking about it today is he has speed and power. He steals bases. He hits homers. He has great batting eye. I mean,
big average, RBIs. I mean, a 5-tool player.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Gold Glove too.
And a Gold Glove. Yeah. And you don't. I mean, you hear about him. He's always names always there. You see a list of 3 guys who've done this. He's on the list. That'll be near the wall in center and playable for Trey Mancini. Russell is retired. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Yikes. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. And I'm his agent. And if you would like to have permission to put that dance up at your next party, give us a call. Gee. Rocking and rolling. 1 down, 7th inning. Jason Hayward. Big blow of the ball game. Hayward bases loaded, 2 down, 5th inning. 3rd triple of the year. And picking up 3 RBIs, now 36 on the season. Right fielders had a day of it. Single walk and a triple, 3 RBIs and 2 runs scored.
Well, his defense has always been there for this Cubs team. You know, even last year he struggled offensively to the point where, you know, I think Joe Madden was about done with it, but his defense kept him in the lineup. And we've seen his defense show up here in this game.
Off the end of the bat to third, Manny Machado in foul territory will make the catch. So they get Hayward, and there are 2 down in the 7th inning. Again, the Orioles calling on the bullpen to shut things down and try and give the Orioles a chance for another one of those comebacks, as we saw last night. This one, however, getting later into the ball game. Baez, an RBI base hit his last time up. Second baseman's had a walk, and he is flied out. He does take some aggressive swings.
Boy, he does not get cheated. That was a nasty pitch, 98 down and away. He cut it loose like it was a center cut fastball BP.
0-1 delivery. Baltimore chop, and he knows it. He's got to gun it. No chance. Infield hit for Baez. That was good for an NFL punt right there.
Well, wisely held on to by Manny Machado. There are going to be times when you're down in ball games just trying to force the issue. Manny knows too high there. Good speed out of the box. Baez flying. Most of the Cubs really hustling down that first base line. Manny wisely eating it there.
So a base hit, number 13 in the ball game for the Cubs. Here is Almora. 4th home run, 3rd inning, RBI base hit in the 4th. Fielder's choice his last time to the plate. Almora in a wild cut on a slider away. Almora getting the start in center field in this ball game, put in against a left-handed starter. 6th overall, 2012 draft. Boy, they have drafted well. Every time we look at bios on these players, so many of them, they come from the organization and they are top draft picks.
Right. Yeah. And they push them through. They're not scared to keep them down either.
He just turned 23 years old. 0-2 delivery on the way, and that's there, and he knew it. So a good pitch by Castro to get out of the inning. No runs a hit. 1 left on. 7th inning stretch time with the Cubs up. Game after a 1-run win, 9-8 in the ball game last night. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick, another short outing, Wade Miley. Buck Showalter didn't go into it in depth before the ball game today, but he was talking about whether or not there's somebody in that bullpen who might be able to come on and be a starter, who we talked about earlier, who has pitched so well coming out of the pen. Would he make the move for anybody at this point to pull someone and put somebody else in?
No, it's going to be tough, I think. But the Orioles are down to their last, I mean, their backs are up against the wall. They've got to do something, I think, right now, and make an adjustment. You don't want to sell off a team. I always felt bad about that, even talking about being a seller, because coming to spring training, everybody's got a common goal. But when it gets to the point where it's just over and over again, some moves have to be made. Obviously, the rotation's been a stumbling block here this year, and it's going to really abuse the pen. If this continues for the second half of the season, the same thing continues to happen, you're going to blow up some of those big arms the Orioles have down there.
Blyer was the name that was raised by Buck before the game today because he's done so well, but he's not stretched out.
Right.
So putting him in would be a risk. And then what do? Do you put somebody, a Miley, a Gosman, somebody into the bullpen again?
Well, the Orioles could be the first team to go legitimate bullpenning.
I agree.
Hey, it could happen.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to do it.
It would not. I mean, you put Blyer in to start and bring Kevin Gosman into the ball game in the third or fourth inning whenever you think you've gotten the best you can out of Blyer. I mean, is that a way to go? It's certainly contrary to everything you've historically that's done in the game, but so what?
But if that's what you're limited to,
yeah.
I mean, you have to take what's given, and unfortunately, the Orioles starters haven't been able to get very deep consistently into ball games. So they're kind of doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, you wait for the starter and gives up too many runs.
Arrieta gets another ground ball from Trey Mancini. Oh, Rizzo says, I got you. Saves an error for Addison Russell.
Pretty good pick right there from Rizzo over at first base. Russell, very good young shortstop. Maybe losing a little focus right there, spiking one in the dirt, but Rizzo over to help him out.
Said Mancini. That's Trumbo on the ground ball out. Mancini up now. So Arrieta really rocking along here. 90 pitches thrown, bottom half of the seventh inning. Trey Mancini is grounded out, and he is lined out to second base. He'll go after the first pitch. Same result. Addison Russell bobbles it and can't find the handle. So an error charged on the Cubs shortstop.
Wow. A low throw maybe getting into his head a little bit. Locks him up. Hit ground ball, and the feet stop moving. That's the problem right there. And the ball just takes advantage and jumps all over him. See the feet just anchored into the ground. Ball kicks up. No movement at all. Could have jumped back, maybe even stepped forward to get the short hop there at E6.
Ninth error he is committed. Surprisingly, the Cubs coming into today's game are 13th in the National League defensively. 13 out of the 15 teams. So the Orioles get the benefit. Now the shift on with Seth Smith at the plate. Arrieta's pitch is in there for a strike. Smith popped out, struck out. Seth against Arrieta, 1 for 6 lifetime. Trey Mancini on at first base. Orioles lone RBI, the solo home run by Caleb Joseph. That'll be inside. Stop made Contreras. I really like this young catcher. He is a very aggressive defensive player. He leads all catchers in the National League in assists per 9 innings. He also leads in errors committed by a catcher with 13. He's also up there with the best percentage in throwing out base stealing. So I mean, clearly a catcher who's not afraid to throw the baseball and make plays. 1-1 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss. That one fell off the table.
Beautiful change up there. Yeah, you love an aggressive catcher. Obviously sees everything in front of him. You can see base runners, what they're doing. Take a look at this little two-seamer. Pretty good action down and away from Seth Smith. But the problem when you're a young guy with a strong arm, you tend to want to show it off a little too much, and sometimes it gets a little risky. Hence the 13 errors.
1-2 delivery on the way. That one's going to fall in for a base hit. Read well. Mancini will make a turn and stay. Almora comes in and gets it in a hurry. So the Orioles here in the 7th inning get 2 on with only 1 out. With Caleb Joseph coming up with our Lexus 1000 drive of the game.
Yeah, Caleb getting the O's on the board, turning a fastball around on that inner third. The hands in tight, finding the barrel. The Oriole catchers get big numbers here in this series.
Lexus 1000, the area's #1 volume Lexus dealer, 7 straight years. Come see why at lexus1000.com. So 2 on and 1 away. A walk and the home run for Caleb. Tejada on deck. Number 8 and 9 in the order. See if the Orioles can make hay here and drive in a couple of runs or more here in the 7th inning. There have not been many chances in the ball game for the Orioles. Joseph will take the pitch. It is in there. 0 for 1. Runners in scoring position. Rondon up in the bullpen. Your base runners. Mancini on the error. Smith on the base hit. Orioles 3 hits in the game. Arrieta's 0-1 delivery, and that'll ride inside. And a 2-ball 1-strike count. Arrieta's last 2 starts, 107 and 100 even pitches thrown. He's only gone over the 100 mark 4 times this year in the 18 starts. 1-1 delivery on the way outside, and that tank may be getting close to empty by the way the ball's wandering around.
Yeah, I think so. Can't pitching coach Vespasio out to slow Arrieta down a little bit. Give him a little breather. Been pretty consistent, boy. How about that efficiency after that first inning where he escaped a big jam? 27 pitches thrown. He has been on the money.
Fazio, a lot of time in the major leagues. Their pitching coach, 11-year career. Milwaukee, Seattle, ended up 94 and 93, but had a real fine 3.96 ERA in his career, and tossed a no-hitter, second one in Mariners history against Boston in 1993. Fazio beat him 7-0.
Yeah, pretty impressive. No. Remember how that one ended with Omar Vizquel coming across the infield and barehanding a chopper. It's like, are you kidding me? It's a no-hitter there, and you're barehanded the ball. You got the out.
2-ball 1-strike count. Arrieta's delivery down to third and foul. So Caleb will face an even count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Caleb has gone 6 for 16 so far in July with the 1 home run. Two delivery on the way, hit hard. No, knocked down. Bryant, 1. No relay. A big defensive play by Chris Bryant at third base to take away a hit and an RBI.
Man, they make this play. He took it out of Happ's glove out left field. That ball is behind him. Able to flag it down, then from his knees gets the force out at second base. Caleb Joseph once again finding the barrel. Unfortunately, Bryant down there at third base to take it away, almost turning a double play.
Ooh. So 2 down and runners at first and third. Mancini to third. Caleb Joseph on the fielder's choice at first base. And here is Tejada, an 0 for 2 in this one, 0 for 5 in the first 2 games. So Ruben looking for an RBI. Arrieta's delivery to him. Slow roller. Gonna have to hustle. Can Bryant do it again? No. Ball gets away from Rizzo. Runner will stay at second, and a run scores. So Tejada hustling down the line. Rizzo trying to scoop it, could not come up cleanly.
There you go. Infield knock with a stake on the end. You see the play here by Bryant. Choppy steps though. He slows him down, trying to get that timing. Ends up spiking the baseball. There you go. Gets the ball on the run. Help on the end from Rizzo though. Gets himself a little bit out of position as the ball gets behind him at first base. That should be about it for Arrieta.
So Joe Madden on his way out. Wanted to let Arrieta complete 7. Not quite. He will go 6 2/3 in his return to Camden Yards. He will leave with an 8-2 lead, looking for win number 9 on the season. Bullpen will be called upon after Arrieta certainly gives him a chance to pick up a win.
Now Rondon now into the ball game. You see his numbers right here. Big arm coming out of the Cubs bullpen. The opponent's down to just that .213 batting average. Mid to high 90s with the fastball, power slider. Occasional change worked in there to a left-handed hitter, but primarily 2-pitch pitcher with the power arm. Take a look at Arrieta's line. 6 2/3. Couldn't quite make it to the 7 innings. A couple runs on the board. Both earned runs. 3 walks, 3 punch-outs for Arrieta. 101 pitches thrown, and is responsible for the runners at first and second. But a pretty good job after struggling through the first inning. Yeah, didn't put any runs on the board, but it looked like it was going to be a rough night. He settled in and basically dominated this Oriole offense.
So Adam Jones will come up with an RBI opportunity. Runners on at first and second base. Tejada gets a single and an RBI, bringing in Mancini, who reached on an error. Adam will go after the first pitch that wasn't close. Adam 7th in average with runners in scoring position in the league. Looked for something and got something else.
Now the hard slider right here. Going to be thinking about that firm fastball, obviously. And Jones, that's all is in his head right there. The slider gets him waving.
2 ground ball outs and a pop out for Adam today. He is 0 for 7 in the first 2 games. Orioles with a run in. Stayed outside but much closer to the plate, and it goes to 0-2.
99 with that heater.
Orioles stranded 3. Last base runner they left on was in the 2nd inning. Silo shot, third base. Bryant. He's got it. And that will do it here in the 7th inning. The Orioles will pick up 1 unearned run on a couple of hits and an error. 2 left on. Going to wrap up this set. Ubaldo Jimenez, Jose Quintana, the newly acquired for the Cubs tomorrow. Coverage on Masson, 1 o'clock, goes extra, presented by Southwest. Our game coverage will be at 1:30. All the access you need right here on Masson. And we will welcome WJZ back to our broadcast tomorrow, and we welcome them joining us today.
Yeah, we'll take a look here. Quintana making his first start in a Cubs uniform tomorrow, looking for his 5th win. 4.49 earned run average. Yeah, inconsistent year with the White Sox, but maybe a little rebirth as he shoots over to the world champion Cubs. And of course, Ubaldo going to stay consistent in the second half.
Ball will be fouled away. Oh, 8th inning. And I guess the folks watching on WJZ today will watch on Masson tomorrow. I correct myself. That'll go to Smith, and he puts it away. Boy, he was way over in the power alley, right where he needed to be to haul in that fly ball by Jay. Johnny Hart now throwing for the Orioles.
And I see Castro actually settling in, eating up some innings here in the middle of the ball game for the Orioles.
That'll bring Bryant to the plate. What a game he has had. Chris Bryant defensively outstanding. Very big play made in that last half inning, and he's got 3 hits, 3 singles, 3 for 4, and he has scored a run. That is going to catch the outside corner for a strike. 0-1.
Another great young talent for the Cubs.
0-1 pitch on the way, and that will be outside. Little back off for Castro. Count goes to 1-1.
Funny thing about Bryant, when he was putting up big numbers, obviously in the minor leagues, and had a great spring training, they were reluctant in bringing him up to the big leagues just because of his defense. Thought he was going to be a liability. Moved him to the outfield. Thought they could kind of lose him out there. So he played some left field, played some right field. And he said, the heck with it. Let's keep him at third base. Next thing you know, NL MVP, World Series champ.
And a good defensive player.
Yeah.
1 ball, 2 strike count. Shift in the infield against Bryant. That one up high. That'll even the count up. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That'll make you feel uncomfortable. Cutting the fastball loose up and in. But nice job turning away. That is the proper technique. Keep that front shoulder pushed back. Turn the head away from the baseball.
2-2 delivery on the way. Up and away. So a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. On the year in the interleague games that have been played, American League holding a advantage 93-83. American League has won the interleague series for the last 13 consecutive years in interleague play. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Bryant reaching. Wanted to make sure we I know the guys are playing, but Delmarva, talk about a week. Single A Delmarva Shorebirds, they finally finished the ball game and went 21 innings. Started Thursday night, suspended at 107. They started it again 6 o'clock last night, 21st inning. They would lose the ball game. Longest Delmarva game in history at 21 innings. Ball is in the air. First base, Davis. Nope. Scope. I got it. And he does. 2 down here in the 8th inning. On the Jake Arrieta line, only 1 of the runs earned, so they changed that one, so you got 2 unearned for Arrieta.
Now that 1 earned run, just a solo shot from Caleb Joseph.
That suspended game took 6 hours and 7 minutes. 6 minutes shy of the all-time record for the longest game time-wise for the Shorebirds. They had a longer one in 2000. It's the longest game in the minor leagues this year.
Lucky them.
Ball in the air to center. That's hit hard. Adam Jones taking a long look. And goodbye home run. Rizzo delivers the long ball. And the Cubs keep on blasting away here at Camden Yards. Their 3rd home run of the ball game and the 8th home run they have hit in 2 games.
Well, Rizzo, such a dangerous hitter, picking up his 21st home run of the year. Had to make some adjustments this season, but back to getting locked in. That's a nasty pitch. 94. That is running off the outside corner, and he went down and got him some. Stayed behind the baseball somehow and mashed it to straightaway center field.
Pitch taken for a strike by Contreras, the catcher. He's looking for a 4-hit game. 2 doubles, a single, a run scored, and an RBI. 9-2 now. In the air to center. Adam Jones going back, has room for this one. And Contreras is retired. 8th inning, 1 run, 1 hit, no errors. Nobody left. The homer by Rizzo. Well, the Dodgers 62-29, best record in the majors. Houston second, 61-29. No team in the wild card era has failed to qualify for the postseason after winning at least 60 of their first 90. And the Dodgers, Astros, D-backs, Indians, Red Sox did not lose 4 in a row in the first half of the season. 60 years since multiple teams finished a year with no 4-game losing streaks. And this year, all of those teams are vying to stay that way for the rest of the year.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Ultimate consistency right there.
Saw an interesting article today saying that mediocre teams in the majors are lessening in number because the separation between the good and the bad is becoming larger than ever. You've got teams that are either really good and putting up big numbers or really bad.
Right.
His talent is not equally spread out.
Yeah, it's just so hard to find the big pitching, you know, and the teams that can afford it, they just stockpile it.
Yep. Manny Machado will lead it off for the Orioles. 0 for 2 and a walk in the ball game. 7-game hit streak may be at stake right here. Rondon on the mound, came on, got the final out in the 7th inning. Orioles bat now in the 8th. Arrieta's domination as the starting pitcher, the story of this one. Movement on that one as it got to the plate, and the count goes to 0-2. Joe Maddon's team trying to get to 500. They are 44 and 45 for the world champions. 0-2 pitch down to third. Bryant called on again and can't do it. He had a chance if he'd been able to handle it cleanly, but he could not, and immediately dumps the baseball, and Manny's on.
Keeps that hitting streak going. Tough pitch, nasty little slider. The ball looked like it had some funky spin on it. Kicked back towards the Cubs dugout. And I think that's where Bryant got a little confused. Ball hits the glove, doesn't quite get the handle, and then when he goes for the transfer, nothing there. Tough chance. But upset that he probably didn't make the play, or at least didn't get a throw off.
So Manny's on. Butler in the bullpen now for the Cubs. Jonathan Scope 1 for 3. He's extended his hit streak to 4. Base hit first inning. First Orioles hit. He will take the pitch away for the 4-ball. Oh, the Orioles trying to mount something very late here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 5 hits for the Orioles. Out hit by the Cubs in this game, 14-5. Into the corner, Hayward again. His favorite place. This time the ball does not come down. That's where he made the catch. Talking to the grounds crew, the door may have been opened, or somebody opened it to say hi.
Oh my gosh.
Big smile on his face.
It disappeared. You know, those Manny Ramirez tricks.
Almora, the center fielder, smiling with him. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Broken bat, first base, tag the bag. No, foul ball. Could see Rizzo thinking there, should I tag the bag or just go to second base? Here's our Jim Coons AL League leaderboard. When you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Now, it was one of the best in the clutch situations. Home run 7th inning or later. The Orioles 4th in the league with 40 home runs. So opportunities to come back. That's why you can never count this team out. Obviously, in yesterday's ball game, big Trumbo blast, tie it up late in the game.
Orioles trying to do this against the Cubs bullpen. Their ERA 3.26. That's the best mark for a Cubs bullpen since 1989. 1-2 delivery on the way, and had to go up and chop it to shortstop. Russell Baez hustles. What an arm and what a reach. Rizzo able to keep his foot on the bag at first base. Going to the outfield side.
A high feed here from Russell at shortstop. Baez just cutting it loose. Rizzo, knowing it's going to be a pretty close play, strides a little too soon, and the ball gets to his backside. Fortunately, the glove side. How about this play? Man, well by him, showing some pretty good flexibility of the legs. Come down with the double play.
Hurt me. This is the same thing the Cubs did in the ball game last night. They came up with big plays, defensive plays late in the game that mattered. Joe Madden is on his way out again. So he's got to make a pitching change here in the 8th inning with 2 down and nobody on. Chris Davis coming up. And Butler is going to be coming out of the pen. So just the second pitcher out of the pen used by the Cubs.
Look at his numbers on the year. 4 wins with a .388 earned run average. But some inconsistencies with commands. 30 punch-outs, 27 walks on the year. Just averaging 5 walks per 9 innings. Opponents hitting .241. Butler on the year. He's given up the 4 long balls. Got the 4-pitch mix, though. Pretty good fastball, low to mid-90s. Flipping a curve, slider, and change.
Butler's a 26-year-old acquired from Colorado. Last year, he spent time between AAA and the Rockies. 17 games with the big club. He went 2-5, 9 of the 17 as a starter. Had been in the Rockies organization, making his major league debut in 2014. So Butler comes on with 2 down, nobody on. Chris Davis will be coming up against him. He made his first relief appearance Sunday at Pittsburgh, worked 2 innings and gave up 1 run, 1 hit, had 1 strikeout. He began the season AAA Iowa as a starter, where he went 1-0. 2 down, nobody on, and a slider up. Chris has struck out, flied out, and drawn a walk in the ball game. Cubs on top, the 9-2 lead. 9-14-1 for the Cubs, 2-5-0 for the Orioles. Count goes 2-0. One of the reasons for the change here, and Buck Showalter talked about it before the game today, managers want to get their bullpens back into the game. After the long All-Star break, some of these pitchers haven't worked for a while, and you want to get as many in as quickly as you can to start the second half. Addison Russell makes the play, and Davis is retired. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. Masson brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By the hotels at BWI.com. Minutes from BWI, Marshall, Amtrak, and Interstate 95. Discover the convenience of the hotels at BWI.com. And by American Standard Heating and Air. Go to MidAtlanticComfort.com for special offers and to find a dealer near you. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick, Camden Yards. The Cubs lead 9-2, looking to take game 2, and the Orioles go to the pen.
And Donnie Hart coming out of it. This will be his 30th appearance for the Orioles. .296 earned run average. Much better here recently. They're finding his form. Had some problems with command early on. A little stint down in Norfolk, but got the fastball command back. Opponent's hitting .260 on the year against Donnie. Only giving up the 1 long ball. First batter hitting .250.
Ian Happ stands in, and the first pitch in the air to center field. Adam Jones will put it away. A pitch and an out here in the top of the 9th inning. 1 away. So the Orioles again getting help from the bullpen in a 4 2/3 inning start by Wade Miley, as Castro had to come out of the pen this time and do the long work for the Orioles. Ended up 3 1/3 innings, 2 runs on 5 hits. He had 1 walk and 1 strikeout. Breaking ball strike on the outside corner to Russell. Should say he had 1 strikeout and 1 home run, no walks. 0-1 count, 1 down. Left-hander's delivery. Russell, his 9th home run came in the 4th inning. Drew an intentional pass in the 5th and scored on the bases loaded triple by Hayward. Here's the 0-2. Down to 3rd and foul. Almore, the center fielder, got the home run in the 3rd inning. Russell, the home run picked up in the 4th inning. The big hit, that bases loaded triple by Hayward, and then the 3rd home run for the Cubs in the game, Rizzo, in the 8th. And they have poured it on last night, 9 runs on 10 hits. Foul back. And tonight, again, they have scored 9 runs, this time on 14 hits.
They're getting some production top to bottom.
Yep. Power production, huh?
Yeah, and they really struggled offensively the first half. There were some inconsistencies there. Of course, they, like the Orioles, found themselves behind in many ball games.
Riding right in on him, chest high. Fouls it off to keep the count at 0-2.
And that's the difference maker pitch for Donnie Hart. His ability to drive that fastball into the righties. Really work it hard in, either going to be right on the edge or a couple inches off inside. Let's open up that outside corner. Good fastball there.
Here's the 0-2 delivery on the way, and that will ride in as well. So a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Boy, he's jamming them, trying to get the barrel of the bat on it so far inside. The best he could do is fight him off.
Yeah, he get some real good pitches in there. Tying him up. Make sure it gets in there. Make a mistake on the inner third, it's going to get punished.
Addison Russell waiting on the 1-2 again, and that will be outside. Russell with just a 226 off left-handers, about the same off righties on the year. And he's had a good first 2 games of this series. That one is going to be a base hit into left center field. Adam Jones will try and cut it off. Bobbles. Runner will go to second. Backup throw made by Mancini, and Russell's got a double. 1-out double here in the top of the 9th inning. MLB.TV, every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Big crowd tonight, 40,258, 40,258. The announced attendance here at Camden Yards tonight. Jason Hayward, can he add to it? Triple, single, walk. 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored. It's another chance with a runner at second base and 1 out.
Well, it's going to be tough against Donnie Hart. That cross-body delivery. We're talking about Jake Arrieta. So deceptive, tough to pick up the baseball. Same holds true with this lefty-lefty matchup. Donnie Hart from the side, stepping towards the Oriole dugout. Tough to pick up the release point.
0-1 delivery on the way to him. Hayward will go to second. Scope over to Chris Davis. Russell goes to third with 2 away. 4 for 7 tonight with runners in scoring position for the Cubs. Baez couple of singles, a walk, and he is flied out. Eight of the 9 runs have scored with 2 down for the Cubs. Pitch is outside for a ball. Russell at third. As the Cubs are going for 10. 1-0 pitch on the way, and they're going to get it. Base hit up the middle. Another 2-out RBI. This one will go to Baez, his second RBI of the ball game. Both of them coming with 2 away, and it is a 10-2 game.
Reaching out, taking it right back through the middle. Not a lot of room in the Oriole infield, but finds a hole right back through the box.
So Baez delivers hit number 16. And the Chicago Cubs have found their bats. And the pitch at 88 miles an hour, taken for a strike. Almora. A home run, a single, fielder's choice, and he is struck out. They'll slash that one off the fist and foul. Cubs add one here in the top of the 9th inning. And a long night for the skipper and the Orioles again. Never got into this ball game.
Here seems to find ways to find some positives, and I guess if you're looking at it, at least the bullpen doing a pretty good job eating up some innings.
Hard gets the strikeout. Cubs get a run, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left on base. Bottom of the 9th, 10-2 Chicago. Ninth inning, trailing it by a score of 10-2. Caleb Joseph, a solo home run, an unearned run on Tejada's single in the 7th inning, accounting for the only 2 the Orioles have been able to put up. Mike Trumbo, Trey Mancini, Seth Smith are due up here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Cubs, as we said, a victory here will get them back to 500. That's the mark that they've gone a little bit over or a little bit under for the entire season. Pitch on the way will be on the inside corner for a strike. Butler came on in relief in the last inning, stays in here. Trumbo's gone 0 for 3, so probably a final chance to keep his season high 9-game hitting streak going.
Yeah, tough in these kind of ball games to not give away at bats, but
he doesn't, and he does. Trumbo gets the base hit, 1 for 4, and the 10-game hit streak continues.
A nice approach right there. Not trying to do too much. Kept the body quiet. Back through the box. A solid swing from Mark Trumbo. Take a look. Two-seam fastball coming back at him. And leads with the knob though. Pulls that barrel behind inside corner. Just takes it right back through the box. Nice piece of hitting.
So Trey Mancini stands in. Orioles now have 6 hits. Mancini reached on an error. He's trying to keep an 8-game hit streak going. That one's going to bounce away, and Trumbo will head down to second, all the way over to the dugout. Contreras. Wild pitch on Butler.
Look at this one. Yeah, spiked down and away. Kicking off the shin guard.
Arrieta came in with the big numbers in the wild pitch department, 13 of them. He didn't throw any tonight. He also had hit 7 batters. Didn't hit anybody. 1-0 delivery on the way, and another one down low. Butler struggling with the strike zone. Contreras struggling with keeping the ball in front of him.
Yeah. Well, Contreras made a couple good plays for Arrieta. They're just trying to keep it in the dirt.
Butler worked against the Pirates on the 9th, as we said, so off a while. 2-0 delivery on the way. That will miss outside. Count goes to 3-0. You got a 10-2 lead, 9th inning, and you can't throw a strike. 3-0 pitch on the way. Trey will take it, and he's on 4 straight. Boy, will that drive a manager and a pitching coach crazy.
Right, and all the players out on the field as well. Aggressive in the strike zone here. Good opportunity for the Orioles to get this Cubs team a little bit more frustrated going home tonight.
Nobody out, 2 on. Shift on. Seth Smith a base hit, 1 for 3. Butler's delivery to him, and that will be there for a strike. Seth watching what's going on. Put the bat on his shoulder, stayed in, but he wasn't going to take a swing.
Wisely. Why not force him to throw a strike?
And the 0-1 delivery on the way. Third base side out of play. Wrap up the 3-game set against Chicago tomorrow. O's extra at 1 o'clock. Ball game at 1:30. Ubaldo Jimenez, Jose Quintana making his first start as a Chicago Cub.
Now, White Sox, I don't think they're done making moves.
No.
They're going to be one of those aggressive teams. A couple veteran players they'd like to get out of there, get some more youth.
Fouled away. Third baseman Frazier appears to be on the radar of the Red Sox and the Yankees. Red Sox need a third baseman. Sandoval released.
Right.
Frazier's one of the veterans that has been talked about as moving. Good one. Seemingly would fit. 0-2 count. And Smith backs off it. Oh-2 delivery on the way by Butler. Hacked at to second base. Baez one, bobbled a little bit, so unable to make the play. Addison Russell, as far as going to first, they get the force out at second base on Mancini.
Pretty nifty play right there by Baez. This ball is scorched. Smith pulling the hands in, gets it on the barrel. Nice little backhand flip, and then there has to be an adjustment with the shift on. Russell just making sure that lead out at second base.
Over to third goes Mark Trumbo. Smith on at first. Fielder's choice. Caleb Joseph, the home run in the 5th inning. 1 for 2 and a walk in the game. 1 down. Bottom of the 9th. Caleb on a tip. Pitch up high for a strike. Kim has come out in the on deck circle to pinch it for Tejada. Oh, 1 delivery. Caleb to center field. Coming hard. Almora. Base hit. That'll score a run. So Caleb gets another one in. 2 RBI ball game for him. And the Orioles make it a 10-3 game.
Caleb Joseph, couple big hits in this ball game. Let's hear a fastball in the outside corner. Gets off the end of the bat. Fortunately for Caleb, it does. It's kind of nestling out in front of Almora in center field. It's a stake on the end. Nice night for Caleb Joseph.
One away, Orioles 2 on and a run in, and Kim pinch hitter for Tejada. And Soo Kim waiting on it. Butler's delivery will be away. Kim is a pinch hitter, 2 for 14. He has had more pinch hit at bats than any other Oriole. Joey Rickert second on the team with 10. Fly ball to right center. Center fielder Almora. Runner tags at second and will stay. 2 down.
Trying to bridge right there. Go deep. Let's get underneath it a little bit.
Pedro Strop gently throwing. So the win will go to Arrieta. Former Oriole will have his 9th. He'll be 9-7. Miley will take the loss, 4-8. Cubs will guarantee themselves a series win, barring a major comeback by the Orioles here with 2 down in the 9th. Orioles will drop to 42-48, and the Cubs will be at 500, 45-45. Adam, the pitch up and in. The Yankees have beaten the Red Sox 4-1 in 16 innings. Didi Gregorius RBI single off Pfister in the top of the 16th. Romine got a single. Sanchez sac fly. And they came away with a 4-1 victory for the Yankees. As the Red Sox waste an outstanding effort by Chris Sale.
Yeah, and a bunch of arms in the bullpen as well.
One ball, 1 strike. Runners off first and second base. Adam outside. Adam has had an 0 for 4 and an 0 for 8 in the 2 games. Butler not doing anything to enamor himself to his teammates or manager or pitching coach here in the 9th inning. Two-1 delivery on the way, and outside again. 3-1. Joe Madden doesn't want to have to go to the bullpen. Being Pedro Strop in, he doesn't have to. But he may have to, even with 2 down in the 9th. We'll see. 3-1 delivery on the way. Ground ball, broken bat. Play made at third base by Bryant, and that's the ball game. So here in the 9th inning, the Orioles will pick up a run on a couple of hits, no errors. They leave 2 on base, and the Cubs win it by a score of 10-3 and guarantee themselves the series win against the Orioles. The Orioles now will try and avoid a sweep tomorrow, as Ubaldo Jimenez, Jose Quintana will be on the mound to wrap up the 3-game set. Coverage on Masson at 1 with those extra presented by Southwest. Our game coverage will be at 1:30. This has been a Masson presentation. Tom and Rick.